Guys, it's time for another episode of It's Crow Time. Episode number 43. We're going to be joined today by Mr. Kota Lewis of Kota Lewis and the Flyers. And let me tell you, folks, this is an interview you are not going to want to miss. You know, here at Crow Time, we don't have no time limit. We're just on good times. So sit back and relax and enjoy this interview right now. Three, two, one. DJ, hit that intro music. And joining me now is going to be Mr. Kota Lewis from Kota Lewis and Flyers. What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, what's up, man? I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
No complaints on my end.
That's good. So we want to hear all the way from the beginning. What is the life story of Kota Lewis?
Are you wanting like all the dirty details of how can I cuss on this?
Yeah, you can cuss on this. Nobody listens to this shit.
Yeah, you want to hear how fucked up my life was, or you want to just know about music and everything?
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Yeah.
We got plenty of time. I'm not on no.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm not on no schedule.
And then I scraped my knee at recess, and it just went. No, man.
She broke your heart because she wanted your crowns.
Yeah, dude. I've had so many fucking heartbreaks. Not funny. Man, so we can start with music shit. I got started singing along to the radio and shit probably around 3.5, 4, somewhere in there. Whenever She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy was on the radio, because I have a distinct memory of running into my grandma's dining room area and I was singing She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, and those are probably the only words I knew, but I just love that song so much. So that song holds a special place in my heart, because that's probably where I started singing along and everything. But my interest at all being a musician and trying to be a guy on the radio, trying to be a guy on tour and everything. For Christmas when I was 6, my mom had gotten me a CD player. And I was so excited. I was like, but I ain't got any CDs. What am I going to do? Well, CDs were huge at this time. I mean, we're talking 2000, 2001.
Hell yeah.
And I go out, it's Christmas Eve. It was the first present. We always open one present on Christmas Eve. And I go outside, it's on the ground and everything. I get in my mom's Explorer. The first one I popped in was the George Strait. And I mean, that sounds really typical. There's a lot of guys that'll be like, man, George Strait, that's just, I mean, in my opinion, country wise, that was it for me. And I hate to sound so cliche, but I don't give a shit if I sound cliche. That's just.
Right. That's just.
Man, it started there, and I was just like, all right. I mean, it went nickels and dimes, memories and wines, and I was like, oh, it's over. Sad country songs got me from the beginning. I was hooked, and from that point, I was listening to music every opportunity I could. I wore that CD player out. I think I wore that CD out, literally.
Do you still have that CD player?
No. I'm terrible at losing shit. I really am. But we're talking something that was over 2 decades ago. But I probably had it for 5, 6 years before I wore it out. And at that point, I got an MP3 player and kind of started diving at that point into a little bit of classic rock. Not a lot, but Wanted Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi.
Now, are you downloading these songs from LimeWire and FrostWire and everything?
Yeah, like that. There's a lot of people that that hate Bon Jovi, and like I'm in love with Bon Jovi just because like that Slippery When Wet album.
Oh, dude, yes.
Like I wore that motherfucker out. I think the backstory on the cover art's cool.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't figure out an idea for the cover art, and one of the guys kind of got pissed off, and he takes a trash bag and soaks it in water, and then just takes his finger and writes "Slippery When Wet," and he goes, "Take your fucking picture. That's your cover art right there." So I was like, "That's fucking cool!" Like whenever I found that out, but I didn't find that out till like 2 years ago. But like I've always been a Bon Jovi fan. I mean, some people like I'm part of the. These days, it'd probably be like being a Nickelback fan 10 years ago. Like people started hating on Nickelback, which I don't know why. I was always like that's my guilty pleasure. Like I never admitted to like hating Nickelback. I love Nickelback. And let's see. So after that, the next step for me, my 8th grade year, at the middle of 8th grade. So through middle school, I had started getting into like theater and shit. We had an English teacher that wrote plays, so we'd go act. And then she had one that I wasn't able to be a part of because of something else. I don't remember what it was. I had something to do after school, so I couldn't be a part of this one play.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it, to end it, she was a phenomenal singer. They karaoke'd "Sweet Child of Mine."
Oh, wow.
But a couple of my friends had dressed up like Slash and, all them, the rest of the band and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh my God, that looks so cool. And she's like belting these notes. Like I said, she was a phenomenal singer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh God, I want to be a rock star. Like just straight up want to be a rock star. My 8th grade year, I'd started getting into like AC/DC and all them, Aerosmith. Like the drum intro for Ragdoll by Aerosmith. Just, oh my God.
Now, where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up at?
In Southeast Kansas. I grew up about 20 minutes from the Oklahoma line.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm almost as south as you can get in Kansas. At that, where I grew up, I was probably about 40 minutes from the Missouri line, so I'm almost as far east as you can go to.
Wow.
Yeah, so a little bit of corner. I can't technically call myself an Okie. I have a lot of Okie friends that consider me like an honorary Okie.
An honorary Okie.
Yeah, it makes you feel good, like I'm a part of something. But
Did you go to school? Did you go to school in Oklahoma, or was it in Kansas?
I went to school in Kansas. My school was probably about 10 minutes, maybe 10, 12 minutes from the Oklahoma line.
Okay.
So in Labette County, there is a bunch of little bitty towns. There's one like big town, which was Parsons, and they had their own high school. But there's a lot of little bitty towns that came together and had a community-wide high school.
Okay.
And I went to that one. So the town I graduated from had a population of about 2,100. But because all these little towns came together, my graduating class was like 144.
Right. That's like, so I've noticed that because me and my wife's husband, dad lives in Nebraska. And when we go to Nebraska and driving through Kansas, I've noticed that there's like, you'll come up to on a school and they'll say like you said, Labette County Tigers High School this way or something. It's like down a dirt road or something.
Yeah. But like my high school is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think our attendance, school size, whatever you want to call it, was somewhere around 5. It fluctuated between about 480 and like 560.
Oh wow! Right. So y'all were like,
so it's
3A.
It's a big high school, and it's like a college campus. We had an FFA. We had a national officer.
Wow.
Like our FFA program, not to be that guy. I don't want to sound cocky or anything. The FFA program was good. I was not good in it. I'll be honest with you. I just honestly I used it as kind of like a screw around class because I wanted to hang out with my friends. I grew up on a small farm, so I was like, I gotta be in this. Yeah, I want to be a part of it, but
what's those
I wasn't one that like competed on a national level, but a lot of my friends competed on a national level exceptionally well.
What's those one guys that they're from Kansas. They did the farm songs. What was it?
Peterson Brothers.
Peterson Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, I love them dudes. We used to watch them all the time in ag class. Literally, we just watched all their videos and shit. So there was that. We had a nationally well-known and respected FFA department. We had a nationally well-known and respected business, like FBLA business department.
Mm-hmm.
I was never even like remotely, I don't know how any of that worked. I just know that a lot of my friends are really good at competing in whatever their national thing was, and they went to a lot of conferences and shit. And then our theater program was very well respected and known on like a national level.
Wow.
Which I was in technical theater all 4 years. I really enjoyed that class. I owe a lot of like I don't know if you call it, probably my thought process on being or trying to be creative. I owe a lot of that to that class. I only acted in one play, but I helped build the set, and you're trying to create something visually, structurally that represents what you're trying to convey to an audience. And being creative in that sense, you got to think about a lot of different perspectives. You know, or you want like a symbolistic set, or you want a realistic set, or you want a really functional set, like that kind of stuff, or you want one that's going to be structurally there the entire time you got to work around, which has helped a lot with like the way we do things at gigs, if that makes sense. Trying to create a spectacle with minimal resources.
Right. I understand that.
So that's played into it big. But I went to nationals 2 years, or a national festival 2 years for theater. Learned a lot. Had a lot of fun, and that was up in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Go Cornhuskers.
So, Cornhuskers. I like the Huskers. They're pretty cool. I don't know them as well as Matt Williams does, but
yeah.
I listened to that podcast. He was on of yours a few weeks back or a month back, whenever it was. I was like, this motherfucker built different. I was like, he knows shit about that college I never thought of. But,
well, when he was like that, I was like, when he said, when I asked him if he's OU or OSU, he's like, no, I'm actually a big Nebraska Cornhusker fan. And I was like, dude, I said, my life revolves around the Cornhuskers. Because, see, my father-in-law, he was, I told him, I was like,
guard, right?
Yeah, and he knew exactly who he was. I was like,
yeah. I listened to that podcast on the way home from a gig, and I was like, holy fuck. You remember something like that? Like, I'm blown away and impressed. Like, I know that kind of stuff about, I used to know, like, every player ever in, like, the NFL. Like, I went through a big phase where literally all I watched was NFL Network and all these, like, classic games and classic stuff. And
I watched
a lot of the, like, Hall of Fame stuff and arguments that went on and a lot of, like, the trivial games and the NFL's history. So I'm a pretty big NFL buff, or I used to be anyways. But
right. I watched a deal the other night, actually. Don Meredith's son was the producer, and he was the narrator. And they were talking about the Ice Bowl in Green Bay, between Green Bay and Dallas, and that was really cool.
Man, so I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. And people can hate on me all they want. I don't give a shit. Here's what. Let me backtrack real quick, and we'll come back to this point. The only reason I'm a Cowboys fan is in third grade, my best friend Cody came to school. We were riding on the bus, and he goes, "Hey man, did you see the game yesterday?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Cowboys game." I said, "What are you talking about?" Like, I didn't watch football. I didn't care about football. I was worried about like tractors and shit like that.
Tractors being sexy.
Yeah. And so he goes, well, I tell you what, tomorrow I'll bring a calendar to school and you'll be a Cowboys fan for life, I promise you. And I was like, all right, whatever, bud. So the next day he brought a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader calendar to school. And I was like, I looked through it, like, I don't even know if I made it to like July or something. And I was like, well, I guess I'm a Cowboys fan now. So within 2 or 3 years, I was like, the Cowboys became my life. Like, I loved the Dallas Cowboys. But to backtrack to that game, what is the greatest failure in NFL history is the guard that Bart Starr followed into the end zone on that last Ice Bowl play of the Green Bay Packers. He's not in the Hall of Fame, and I'm pretty sure the rest of that line and a lot of that offense is in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And I'm not saying he should get in the Hall of Fame based off that one play.
Right.
But he put a career together. He should be in the fucking Hall of Fame. Like, as much as I don't like the Packers, like, I don't hate them, but like, as much as I don't like the Packers, because they're clear rivals against Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Even today. That motherfucker should be in the fucking Hall of Fame. And, like, I'll die on that hill. I don't care. But, yeah, that's fucking, that's cool. That Ice Bowl was a crazy game. I like playing in cold weather. I think the Chiefs are thinking, like, I'm up here in, like, Chiefs land.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you call it, Chiefs Nation, whatever. I root for the Chiefs, too, just because I grew up around so many Chiefs fans.
Right, and it's been a while.
Like home team, but
I mean, it's been a while since
talking about going away from Arrowhead and building a new stadium on the Kansas side of Kansas City. I don't know if they're going to. That's the rumor right now. And I was like, that's the worst thing you can do. Like, as historic as Arrowhead is,
mm-hmm.
as functional as it is, because it gets so loud in there. Like, I'm the kind of person, I will do anything for an edge. I'm competitive as fuck. Like, I'm not kidding, dude. Like, I want to win everything. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't give a shit. So any edge we can get, I want the edge. And they're talking about putting a dome over air, with a new stadium for the Chiefs. I was like, that's dumb. Like, I can't think of it. Justin Fields for the Bears.
Yeah.
He wants a new field with a dome. And I was like, bro, you literally have one of the best home field advantages because it's so cold and miserable in Chicago. Like,
well, did you see?
That's why Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have been good because it gets cold up in Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's why Josh Allen's so good up in Buffalo because it gets cold. Like, that's a huge home field advantage, and I'll take any advantage in anything I can possibly get. Like,
right.
Any edge I can get, I don't care. I won't play dirty, but like any edge I can get.
Well, did you see where they did? I can't remember where it was. I think they were talking about moving it to like one of the suburbs of Chicago, and they came out with the renderings, and yeah, it's a dome. Of course, that mayor's an idiot there.
That's dumb.
She's going to I don't know why, but they're going to have that street race, NASCAR race, on the street circuit, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, look at what happened last year in Chicago. There was that shooting on 4th of July weekend.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's stupid. But yeah, anyways. All
right, so music and shit. We got sidetracked football. I can talk about football all day, but
I can too, dude.
So after I'd seen that cool performance of my friends looking like rock stars, like the day after I graduated 8th grade, I bought myself a cheap $125 Squire Strat, like everybody does from a pawn shop. And I didn't really start learning to play right then. Probably about halfway through my sophomore year, I really started figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Taught myself. My friend taught me G, C, and D. The first 3 chords you learn.
Right.
And then I found the ultimateguitar.com website, which I think a lot of guys now are like, that thing is blown up. I think that's where you pretty much go to learn guitar now, other than like YouTube.
Yeah.
But I had a guy from the town I went to grade school in, which is itty bitty Mountain Valley, Kansas, population like 404, I think. I mean, it's a pretty small town. It's not as small as my town, but it's a pretty small town.
I'll raise you that 400, and I'll send you a town where I grew up in Oklahoma called Faxon, Oklahoma, 150.
I will raise that to my town I grew up in. It's Dennis, Kansas, and I'm pretty sure the population is somewhere around like 40.
Okay, you win.
It's it's 2 square blocks. There's 7 stop signs. There's a post office, a church, a community center, and a bar that gets a new owner probably about 3 times a year. I think the guy that's got the bar now, he's actually had it for, I think he's actually coming up on a year. But before that, it'd get a new owner about 3 times a year.
Wow.
It seemed like anyways, but not a real big town. Not a real big town. So that's kind of that's where I grew up. I'm trying to put that town on the map. You know how it is.
Yeah, put up Dennis. You're trying to put up. You're trying to put up that sign. This is home of Dakota Lewis.
Yeah. So the little town I went to grade school in, Mount Valley, a guy named James Wesley got a record deal and had, I think, 2 or 3 pretty good songs, pretty big songs on the radio. Anyways, he came back to town and got like a key to the city and everything, and a whole bunch of us went up to like meet him.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed my strat that I had, and then I went home that night and I was like, all right, I want to learn this song, which I don't remember the name of it now, but it was a really good song, really good melody.
I was going to say that name sounds familiar.
I'll see if I can find what that song was. But I go home that night and I think he'd signed Broken Bow, and the song was Real. He had another one called Didn't I, but I liked Real a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I go home that night and I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out how to play this song. I really like this song. I want to be able to play it. I want to be able to sing it.
Was that the song?
We started putting it together, and that's really where playing the guitar started for me. And then, like, what?
Was that the song that went? It went like real, like like that was like the chorus. Like that's how the chorus started every time. It was like real.
Yeah,
something.
That's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I could find the lyrics for it. I might be able to.
But yeah, it went na na, and then it went real, and then it went.
Yeah, it's like real is a hand you hold. 57 years. Real is a band of gold. Trembling with fear.
Yes.
First one tear down an old man's face, watching his angel slipping away. His heart's
real.
So broke, it's never gonna heal. I call that real. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that song now.
Fucking love that song. I probably played that bitch 1,000 times. Love that song. Love that song. And that was kind of where playing guitar took off for me. And that's probably about the time I started like writing at all. And I wrote shit for like 10 years. I'm not gonna lie. I probably wrote a couple good ones in there, but I've lost them now. And I would fluctuate. I'd play guitar pretty hard for like 6 months, take a few months off, play some more. Like I just play in my bedroom. And like I would try and learn something, and I'd just be like, this is too hard. I ain't fucking doing it. Like I wouldn't put in the work to actually learn like a whole thing. But I think that's, as weird as it might sound, I think it's played to my advantage in certain ways and disadvantages in other ways. But like there's a guy I listen to like podcast wise for like personal development. He says life happens for you, not to you. So
right.
It's worked out in my favor. And I played through high school. I wasn't in like choir or anything. I was in band my freshman year, but I played the saxophone.
So you weren't in choir like FFA?
Do what?
So like Oklahoma, And I think Texas does too. Texas does it a little bit different, but Oklahoma, they have a state choir every year, like state
Right.
FFA members, and they come and sing and stuff. And then I think, yeah, Oklahoma has the talent competition, but it's not like Texas. God.
Right. Yeah. Man, I didn't know Texas had like big ass fiddle contests till I
Yeah, dude,
started
it's
going down to Texas.
crazy.
Like, I had no clue. And I was just, man, y'all are built different out here. Like, music in my part of the world is not anywhere near what Oklahoma is.
Uh-huh.
And definitely the furthest thing away from what Texas is.
I was about to say, what you calling y'all, boy? I ain't
If
no.
I drive in, do what?
I said, what you calling y'all, boy? I ain't a part of this south of the river.
If I drive an hour south from where I grew up, musically, it's a totally different world. Just an hour south.
That's crazy.
I mean, night and day difference. And you would think it would travel that far, but no, it really doesn't. Which whenever the band had started, we were trying to play. At that point, I was like, I'll take any gig I can get. So we're playing everything. And it took probably about 4 or 5 months before we got into Oklahoma. And I was just like, as soon as we made it into Oklahoma, I was like, we made it, boys. Like, because I didn't know. And,
right.
Yeah, it just kind of built up from there. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're good.
Yeah, so, played all through high school. Getting out of high school, I went to welding school. Played.
Did you go to welding?
I started playing saxophone.
Did you go to welding?
Fifth grade, you were supposed to pick out an instrument, and I picked out saxophone because I thought it was a xylophone. No, I just knew it ended in phone, and I was like, I'm gonna play them little rinky-dink, ding, 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 ding things. Like that just sounded fun to me.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. Like everybody's instruments showed up the next week, and they got their cool things, and I'm like sitting in the section with saxophones, and I was like, this ain't what I wanted. So I didn't get my saxophone for like another couple days or something like that.
So you got
showed up. I was like, well, I'll just go with it. My grandpa bought me this instrument. I might as well play it. So
are you gonna add
that's
that?
Where I learned to like read music and everything.
Are you gonna add that to a song in the future?
Probably. At some point, yeah.
Hell
I don't know if I'll do like the bell thing coded with Austin. But
that was a xylophone. Yeah.
You what?
That was a xylophone that he did.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I'll probably do it at some point. But
what's that rap song? The one that goes, "I'm different." Yeah, I'm different. The beginning of that's a xylophone.
I like that song.
Yeah.
If it's catchy, I like it. Like I'm not judgmental on or like I only like one kind of music. Like I'm not that.
Right.
Like I've gotten into Slipknot since we got our new drummer a year ago. He's a big Slipknot guy, and he's kind of turned me into like. He hasn't turned me into like a metalhead by any means, but he's turned me on to branching out to like that division of music.
Yeah. Those metal drummers are badass, dude.
Dude, I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm just being real.
Real.
Like, I have not seen, pun intended. I have not seen with my own eyes somebody who can play like my guy. He basically locked himself in his room for like 6-7 years.
Wow.
And learned everything Slipknot's ever put out at a very efficient, very, very efficient level. Wow. He can do things on drums. I don't know anything about drums really, but he can do things I didn't think was possible. And like, we have a partner show where he's got a drum solo for like 3 minutes or whatever. And it's just balls out, unleash the beast, let the puppy dog off his chain. Craziness for like 3 minutes.
What's your drummer's name?
His name's Jonah. He went to a little bitty school next to the town over where I'm living now, and I worked with his brother. And he was like, "Hey, if you need a drummer, you should help my brother." And I was like, "All right." Well, I knew Jonah could drum, And I hit him up, and I was like, "Hey, man, do you want to come drum for us?" And he gave it a shot. But
he got it.
yeah, man. So before the band really started, so I was in 2018. I broke out on the road traveling welding, and I started writing at the end of 2017, right before Thanksgiving, because there was a few moms in a van in the town I worked in that were coming home from Kansas City on a Sunday, and they had a horrific accident, and all three of them died. They'd been Christmas shopping for their kids. And nobody's fault. It was just a complete freak accident, from my understanding. A car coming in the lane at them had hit a deer, and the deer went into their car. Like, it hit it up into their car.
Wow.
So just complete freak accident. And these families lost 3 moms, and I was just like, I had been going through it because earlier that summer, I had a girlfriend of a long time break up with me. And as soon as she broke up with me, I was like, I'm just going to start writing music. I'm going to go to Nashville. I'm going to be a songwriter. And that didn't happen, thankfully. But I had really started writing in that summer. And then when this happened, the next day when I come into work, I find out one of my coworkers, who was one of the guys that trained me, his son had committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
So 4 people in this community were gone like that. And it fucked me up. And I was like, I don't know what I gotta do. I just felt like writing. So, like, I think Cody Canada had said at some point, but you kind of write to deal with
right
whatever you're going through mentally. And if you can put it on paper, it helps you cope. And I just hurt so bad for these families and my coworker, and I was like, I gotta do something. So I wrote this song, and lyrically, looking back at it now as like a songwriter, I don't think it's like the best by any means, but it was good for me at the time.
Got you through.
And it was pretty deep, and it meant a lot to me, and I shared it on Facebook. I had a coworker of mine who played guitar kind of helped me with a couple parts, kind of putting some chords to it. And so that happened on a Sunday, and on, I think, that Thursday or Friday, I released it on Facebook, and I was just like, hey, this happened in our community, and I just felt like I needed to do something. And so I wrote this song. Here it goes. And I played it, and it got a lot of views, and I got a lot of thank yous, and I got a lot of people reaching out, basically saying, hey, you didn't have to do that.
Right.
But thanks for the song. That means a lot. And that kind of started the, like, real songwriting for me. And then later, about 6 months later in 2018, I broke out on the road. I had this girl that just fucked with my head bad. And so I was like, fuck you, fuck this town. I don't remember. There's a Jason Aldean song where he's like, flip off that
flip off the boss, took my name off the payroll, quit my job.
It wasn't Johnny Cash. I fucking love that song. I'm pretty sure that's Johnny Cash, but
yeah, that's Johnny.
He had an album out that was, and he had this song about leaving town, basically. And like every day, I would drive by a major highway that like went out to Wichita, and I was like, one of these days, I'm just gonna leave this fucking town, chase the sunset, and be over the road. And a couple months later, this girl fucked with my head, and I got the opportunity to leave and go over the road and travel. So I took it. I said, fuck this job, fuck this town, fuck all of you. Like, I'm gonna go do something else. And I did. And in 2018, I started going to some concerts and stuff, and really started diving into writing. I wrote probably 2 or 3 songs in 2018 that were on her first album. I don't know which ones. I know I Can Break Your Heart was one of them.
Now, what year did you graduate?
Fun Accident was another.
Where did you graduate high school?
Lubbock County High School.
What year?
2013.
Okay, so I graduated in 2014. So, yeah.
You're making me feel old, motherfucker.
Motherfucker, it's a year.
I'm just kidding with you. So at the end of 2018, I went to a big Cody Johnson concert at the BOK Center in Tulsa.
Oh, yeah.
And when I went home from that, I was the only person that got his pick. He only threw one pick all night, and I got it. I was VIP, like 4 people back. Drunk off my ass, dancing, met a lot of people. It was cool. And I went home from that, and at this point, I'm 23. I said, if I don't start chasing this fucking dream, it's not happening.
Right.
It's just not happening. So in 2019, I put 4 hours worth of music together that I sang every day to myself in my living room, and was hammering this out. And my bass player now, we'd started hanging out again. We grew up together. His name's Spencer. I think we started hanging out at the beginning of 2018. At the beginning of 2019, I was like, hey man, I gotta start doing this. We gotta figure out something. I don't know how to do any of this. So we're just gonna figure it out. So we had a bar that had just opened, and they were looking to do something for Memorial Day at the beginning of April. Him, the bar owner, and Spencer, my bass player, played a game of pool over me getting the spot.
Wow.
And Ben, the owner, never lost, like ever. And he accidentally made the 8 ball too early.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Spencer won. I got a $200 paid gig. I got my first gig. And I was through the moon. I was like, the next weekend, I was like, I gotta buy like sound equipment. I don't have anything. I don't know. I just gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
So Memorial Day comes around. I play the show, and I wanted to be rehearsed, and I wanted it to go smooth, and I wanted to look like my heroes on stage. And I fucking bombed, dude. It was so bad. I played for like 3 hours. I walk out there, first song, forgot all the words.
Oh my gosh.
I remember the first 5 words to Hurricane by Luke Combs, and that was it.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, bro, so this place holds like 177. There was at least 250 in there. Like, at least 250.
Oh, dang.
Because I think he had somewhere around like 230 card transactions, something like that.
Wow.
So we're talking like a lot of fucking people in
there. Yeah.
It's packed. This is not a big bar. It's a good sized bar. It's not a big bar. And it's fucking packed. And I'm out here like lights on me, fucking bombing. I didn't know how to set up sound equipment. If I told a sound engineer how my stuff was set up at my very first show, they would look at me. If they'd have been there, they would have said, this kid's never going to do anything at all. Fucking ever. It was so bad. And the best thing for me was probably bombing there.
Uh-huh.
I made it through the show, and it was all good, and life still went on. And the Thursday after that, I headed to Lubbock for a job.
Oh, and wow, that's a drive.
I went to every songwriter night at the Blue Light for like 4 months, something like that. However long I was in Lubbock. And at songwriter night at the Blue Light, you get 3 songs. Which the last time I was there, I think we did 4. But at that time, you got 3 songs, originals only. And I think I was playing, which I had a different version at the time of I Need a Beer, but I think I was playing I Need a Beer, Grandma's House, and I want to say it was I Can Break Your Heart.
There's a lot of good songwriters.
There's
And
some
Lubbock.
great songwriters in Lubbock. I love that town. If I could load up and move to any town, it would be Lubbock, Texas.
I actually have had
even if it wasn't for
some
music.
of them on
Like
here.
I just love that town.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually had some of them on here, like Sal, I think, yeah, he's in the finals at LJT. And then, of course, my buddy, he, his name, he grew up originally in Perkins, but then he moved out to Lubbock. His name's Dyson Gorham. And
I haven't heard of him yet.
yeah, and then Ox Martin, I think, yeah.
No Ox.
Yeah, Ox is, yeah, he's
Mama's favorite psychopath.
Yes.
Fucking Bob, dude. I love that song, man. I fucking love that song.
Yeah.
Which I think he was just getting that on the radio, I think, when I was out there. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
When I was out there in Lubbock, I was so scared of these Texans. Because I'm a little Kansas boy.
Right.
And they're like, I just felt like, from my perspective, I was like, they're from Texas. They're all musically gifted and they're great songwriters and singers, and I'm not. Like, I was just like, the best are in Texas. Like, that's the perspective I had.
Was Slate still going to that? Slate Coulter?
No. So Jerry Serrano runs Songwriter Night now.
Uh-huh.
He did then, still does now. Which, if anybody who listens to this, go listen to The Moon by Jerry Serrano. Stop this right now. Go listen to that and then come back.
Yeah.
I love Jerry as a person. He's so awesome. I love him almost as much as a musician. He's a fantastic musician. But that song, The Moon, which I think was the album title, just strikes a chord with me. It's a beautiful song. Every time I go out there, I'd be like, play it for me, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
But being there at Songwriter Night for 3-4 months, whatever it was, playing these songs, it gave me the confidence to believe in my songwriting that maybe I could do this. Because for a long time, I was a person who needed a stamp of like approval before I do something. Like, hey, instead of just doing whatever, you gotta somebody's gotta okay it. Basically, was my thought process, and I guess I just needed at that time somebody from Texas to be like, hey, man, you're not that bad, or whatever. Which I don't know if I'm good yet or not still, but I like the stuff I write, so I guess if you can live with that, you'll be fine. But people would dance, and I'd get some beers bought for me, and the locals would tell me, hey, that was a good song. Like, if somebody's buying you a beer or somebody's dancing, you might have something there.
Right.
So, like, go with what you're doing now. Go with that kind of song, which, like I said, I don't think I play the same 3 every time, but the main 3 I circled around, I'm pretty sure. I know where I need a beer in Grandma's house, and then I'm pretty sure I would go back and forth a lot between I Can Break Your Heart and On Purpose on Accident. Because those were 4 of my better ones and 4 of my favorite ones.
Was Darby Sparkman, was she going to that too when you were out there?
I don't remember if she was ever at a Songwriter Night that I was at. She might have been at one. But I watched her open for Tex Westus, which I love them guys. Chloe and Corbin. Corbin's one of the best guitar players I've ever seen live. That dude is crazy. They put on a great show the night we went and watched them there at the Blue Light, and Darby opened for him, and she was phenomenal. I think Darby got up on stage, and they did Gunpowder and Lead. Chloe and Darby did Gunpowder and Lead, and it was a phenomenal performance. It was a lot of fun to watch. But being around that atmosphere gave me some approval to come back to Kansas and be like, hey, you can't do this, motherfucker. Pull up your fucking straps and pick up your guitar and quit being a pussy and go fucking sing your songs. You might have something here that people need to hear. So that's what I did. But I was traveling a lot, still over the road, so it's hard to like book gigs and do that at the same time. And I was working a lot more closer to home, not necessarily at home, but closer to home within like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of 2020, and then we all know what happened then.
Yeah.
So that kind of went downhill. And at the end of 2020, I started working at the car dealership. And I was just needed a change of pace. Thought selling cars can't be that hard, which at the time it wasn't.
You know, it seems like a bunch of guys. Like, we went to a dealership in Henrietta the other day, and I was talking to the guy, and I was like, "So what'd you do before this?" He said, "I was on the oil field for 7 years."
Yeah, bro, it's very unappreciated or overlooked. I don't know which one word you would probably use to come home clean every night. Come home and then be clean. Right. It's very overlooked. So I started working at the car dealership, and I want to say it was September or October, one of the two, towards the end of 2020. And in the spring of 21, I had made up my mind that I was going to buy a Jeep Wrangler within the next 3 months. I was going to save up some money for a down payment, and I was going to go ahead and order one. I'd always wanted one. I love Jeep Wranglers. If I ever become rich and famous, it's going to be the first car I buy is a Jeep Wrangler because I love it. I'm weird. Like, the Wrangler cult is a thing. It's a cult. I don't care who drives a Wrangler that hears this. Like, it is. Deal with it. I sell them on a daily basis. I want to be a part of it. But anyway, so I made up my mind this is what I was going to do, and the first week of April, I got with Spencer on a Sunday. And we had planned on going to, I think, Coetzel in Tulsa when he was doing that little baseball stadium tour.
Oh, yeah, I went to that.
So I told Spencer, I talked with him on a Sunday, and I said, all right, here's the deal, motherfucker. Because at the beginning of 2020, I bought him a bass guitar, and I was like, you're going to learn bass. We're going to start a band, da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. Well, I had the conversation with him again, but this time I was like, you're going to learn bass. I'm just going to show you kind of what to play. Just play the root notes. We'll figure it out. I don't give a shit. Me and you are going to start playing acoustic gigs. Maybe we'll run into a guitar player. Maybe we'll run into a drummer. I don't care. If we don't start this, we're going to regret it the rest of our life. Because, like, Spencer wasn't into, like, playing music. He loves music. And we were at that age where, like, there's no more time to waste. We got to figure this out. We got to get going. Because he was always all with me on the road, like, going to acoustic gigs. He was my hype man. He was my merch guy, sound setup, security, whatever. If anybody tried fucking with me anytime, like, dude is huge. He's 6'3", built like an offensive lineman. And it's like, he is deceptively strong and athletic.
He's corn-fed. No.
He was my wrestling partner in high school. He is deceptively strong and athletic. Like, I'm pretty sure if he wanted to, he could literally put his fist through, like, me, maybe not, but, like, a lot of smaller guys. Like, dude is unreal strong and unreal quick. Deceptively. But, so he would run around with me, and I was like, if you're already running around with me, we're going to learn bass. And, you know, maybe we'll run into some other musicians, we'll start a band, we'll figure it out. And at that same time, I didn't know how, like, recording an album goes. Mm-hmm. So I had reached out to a buddy of mine who we used for the first album. And I said, hey, man, how did it go working with him? Was it affordable? I like the quality of what I've heard come out of a studio. Was he easy to work with? I was asking questions because I knew the kid. He's my age. I knew the guy, but I didn't know the guy. If that makes sense.
Who was it?
His name's Zach Blake. He's based out of Broken Arrow in Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
He's got a band They just released some songs at late spring. Thanks to You is the name of their band. They're like pop punk alternative. They're really good. I reached out to him and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to need your help with these guitar parts. I don't know anything about lead guitar at all, music theory, any of that. I just have songs and I have lyrics and I have chords. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I showed up and we made scratch tracks of all 9 songs. And went from there. But whenever I had that talk with Spencer, I had started the process of figuring out how we were going to record these songs. But I told Spencer I'm going to go to the dealership, and on the coffee maker at ours, I'm going to put up a sign. We're going to figure out what we're going to call ourselves. Kota Lewis and the blank. We'll figure out something. Because I didn't, at the time, still now, I wanted it to be like a team effort. I didn't necessarily want it to be just me, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I wanted to build it as a team. I didn't want it to be all me, and then I just have some guys on the weekends play with me kind of thing. I want you to feel included. So I put a paper up on the dealership coffee maker, and I'm like, hey, one of the guys here is starting a band. We're looking at going, put your ideas in the buckets. Kota Lewis in the blank. Fill in the blank. Winner is going to get a merch package whenever we get merch.
Yeah, whenever we get merch, you will get something.
I will hit you up, leave your name and number, da-da-da-da. So there's a motorsports store right next to my car dealership that we also own. And I go in there, and I'm talking to one of the salesmen, and I was leaving a little piece of paper with him saying the same thing, and a little basket and sticky notes and everything.
You were leaving a flyer.
And he goes, I was telling him everything, and he goes, so what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm teaching my buddy to play bass, and then I play acoustic guitar and sing and write, and we're looking for other musicians, but right now we're just trying to start, like, basically get it off the ground. We're just looking for band names. And he was like, well, no shit. I play guitar, and then my finance manager drums. And I was like, huh? So I went over and jammed with him. And then I think a couple days later, I jammed with the finance manager that drummed. And it meshed. It worked. We were just kind of having fun. And I had Spencer come over, I think the week after that. And we were like, all right, sounds like we got a band. And one of my customers didn't tell me the name, but he said something that had to do with my dad's hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And their mascot in my dad's hometown were the Flyers. And the Flyers was a train that used to go through my dad's hometown.
Oh, wow.
So that's like, that's why some of our merch has trains on it, because a Flyer was a train.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody thinks like the wing. It just got to the point where it needed to have wings involved with it somewhere because people were looking at us funny. So I was like, I'll come up with a logo at some point with wings. But so anyways, I had an idea for a name, and I had asked the drummer and guitarist if they had any ideas, and then kind of like I don't want to sound like I'm deceptive or at all, but I'm really good at persuading. And
you're a salesman. Like, of course you are.
Yeah, I know. I played so well into booking shows. Being a car salesman is like
right.
Wording things a certain way. But also it's helped in kind of leading my guys a certain way. So I'm big into like leadership, podcasts, and books. And between that and selling, or sales in general, it's helped a lot. But I was like, hey, what about this? And I said, what about Kota Lewis and the Flyers? And I gave a few different reasons why it would work. You know, it was my dad's hometown.
Mm-hmm.
It was a train that went through town. Or is my dad's hometown's mascot, or whatever they called themselves. And I was like, I think this will work. And they couldn't come up with anything else. And I was like, all right, sounds like we're Kota Lewis and the Flyers. And I started booking shows, and man, we were rough. We were so rough around the edges. It's not even funny. For like probably about a good 4 months, like just bad, really bad. And I think it was just because we were just a garage band making it work. Our first set list had like 4, maybe 5 originals on it. And none of us had been in a band before. We really didn't know what we were doing. We were just trying to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And we added another guitarist. And so we started the band in April, and we played every weekend. And I want to say it was September, October, and November. I had booked up enough shows where we played at least one show every weekend in September, October, and November, which I felt like was pretty quick for a band that just started. I don't know if it was or not, but it felt quick. And I was just trying to pay dues. I was trying to figure out how to get into new markets. I was trying to play as many shows as possible. I was trying to get her name out there. And we didn't have anything booked in December because I wanted the guys to take the month off and enjoy time with their family. We had basically just played like a whole bunch of shows. Every weekend we were somewhere. And at the beginning of October, my lead guitarist, the original one, he had moved back home to Council Grove, which was about 3 hours away from where we were.
Oh, wow.
So he was driving 3 hours one way every weekend. And like, whenever it got to December, I was like, man, I gotta kind of make a decision here. We were having, I don't want this to sound bad at all. We were kind of having a few creative differences because he liked like 90s rock.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted it to kind of go that way, but I don't know if the part of 90s rock he wanted it to go, I didn't want it to go that way. And I didn't want to play a lot of cover songs. I told everybody the entire life of this band, I've told everybody, we're not a cover band. We just have to play a certain amount of cover songs to fill time.
Right.
I don't do requests, mostly because like we work really hard on the songs we do know that I'm not like my musicians and my band don't know everything. They're not
right.
They didn't grow up with a parent that played in every cover band in every cover band and in every bar in the local scene. Like none of our parents did any of that. So what I was like, or what I said we're going to do is we're going to have a really rehearsed show because these are the songs we're going to practice. And we can't just fly by the seat of our pants and fuck it, we'll wing it. Like, yeah. I don't want to do that. And I don't want that to sound like I'm hating at all on any band who does do that. That's cool if you do that. It's just not our thing. So at the beginning of December, I tell my guitarist, hey man, I'm going to let you go for 2 reasons. One, I really appreciate everything done to get this off the ground, but you were 3 hours away, and we're going to start working on more original stuff. It's hard to rehearse for that. You're 3 hours away. 2, the weather could be really bad this winter, and I know up where you're at, it is really bad, so I don't want to put you in a position where, 1, you leave us hanging, or 2, where you get yourself in a bad, like an accident or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So we left on great terms. We're actually going to crash with him. We're playing a festival up at Council Grove later this summer, and we're going to crash with him and hang out all weekend. So I did that on like a Tuesday night or something. Wednesday morning, my other guitarist sends me a text. He's like, hey, we got to talk. So I call him, and I was like, hey, what's up? And he goes, bro, they're moving my job to Illinois. Oh. I said, what? And he goes, they're moving my job to Illinois, so I'm going to bow out and spend the next month and a half with my boys before I got to leave. I was like, well, we ain't got nothing booked anyways. That's fine. Tell me you're good. Wish you the best. Appreciate all your help. Da-da-da-da-da. So now we're a 3-piece. We went from being a 4 to start with, adding a guitarist, and then I lost both my guitarists in a 24-hour span. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. So the best and probably the biggest thing my dad ever drilled into my head if there was one thing he did get through to me, it was this. If nobody's coming to save you, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You figure it out or you're stuck. He had told me, and the way he got that through to me was he told me a story. He got his hand trapped. He was hooking up the planter to the tractor or something like that. And he got his hand trapped, and he had to work up his adrenaline enough to pick up this 2,000-pound implement, basically, which it probably weighed more than that, but he got enough of it off of him, he could get his hand out. Because the tractor's running, everybody's up at the house, there's no way he could yell all he wants, so he's blue in his face. Nobody's coming to save him. Right. So I was literally in this position where my hand's trapped, and nobody's coming to save me.
Mm-hmm.
I put APBs out on Snapchat and Facebook and everything saying, hey, we're looking for a guitar player, and nothing. Nobody cared, and nobody was coming to save me. So I was like, what am I going to do? I guess I better figure out how to play lead. Well, I'd spend every weeknight, or most weeknights, messing around with the lead parts on my own songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of lead in Misbehaving, for example. So I said, I got most of this down. I just got to tighten it up. I just got to figure it out. And I went ahead and was like, well, I can either end the band or I can figure this out. So I started booking shows. I was like, hey, we're just a 3-piece now, but we'll figure it out. Well, Spencer, at that time, he hadn't even been into it a year, was not a good enough bass player to cover everything as a 3-piece.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably couldn't now, but it would still be close because he's still learning. He ain't even been doing this 2 years yet. So it's almost 2 years, but it's not quite. And we just got him a bass coach. And the drummer I had at the time spent all of December and most of January on speed. And we hadn't really hung out much. So he was kind of a mess at that time.
Wow.
And he wasn't there's a difference between like the guy I have now and the guy I had then. Is my guy I have now is a drummer. The guy I had then was a guy who could drum.
Mm-hmm.
And like Matt was good, but he just kind of played with it. He toyed with it. He didn't try to like perfect everything or had the time to perfect everything that Jonah has, if that makes sense.
Right.
No shade or anything. Matt was fine for where we were at the time, and so we just started booking, and I was like, man, this does not sound the best, but fuck it, we'll figure this out. Like, I don't have a choice. I just got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So we played a few more shows in February, and one of them, my drummer had a panic attack like second song in, but I didn't find out about it until probably an hour after the show.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of, I don't know if he was just like butchering a song or he had stopped or something. And probably 2 or 3 songs in, and I just kind of looked at him like, you're good, let's just go. Like, I wasn't yelling at him or anything. I was just like, hey man, you're fine. Let's just keep going. We're good.
Meanwhile, he's freaking out and passing out almost.
And he's freaking out, and I had no idea. And he talked with Spencer. So at that point in our set, I used to do an acoustic part in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells that to Spencer, hey, I had a panic attack. I'm like, right now it's really rough. And then Spencer tells me after the show, so they had talked while I did my acoustic thing, and then they come back up, we finished the set finished great. It was one of our worst shows. It was Spencer was a little off. He ended up losing a fret off the bass on a really important fret. And Matt was just going through it that night, and then I was trying to hold it together, but you can only do so much. And we get through that, and like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and Matt didn't get taken to jail, but he almost did because he like passed out at a gas pump.
Oh, wow.
And he wasn't drunk. He was just tired, from my understanding, because I think he'd been up all night. in all day. So I talked with him at our show that Saturday, and I said, "Hey, man, like, you've got to get your shit together." And I wasn't being like a dick or anything. I was like, "Hey, like, you got to get your shit together." At that time we had just written up like a contract format, and we were starting to take some deposits on some shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I will help you get all your shit together. Like, I'm not saying, and I know it's not going to happen by Monday, but we got to start getting your shit together, because if I got to give money back because my drummer's in jail and I got to cancel the show, that conversation's not going to be as fun as this one is, and this conversation's not any fun at all."
Right.
So I just had to play. Like, I hate stepping across the line of boss. I'd prefer to be leader.
Right.
And I was like, "We just gotta. I'll help you get your shit together, but I got to worry about the band too, because it's my name on everything."
Yeah, and it's your reputation on the line.
It's my reputation on the line. If you had to cancel a show, that venue might not ever have you back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you never know who's going to be at any show,
right,
or what kind of fan base you could build at any venue. So you don't want to take a chance at ruining a relationship with a venue. So he had some remarks he made that I didn't care for. So at that point, I was pissed off. So the next day, I sent him a big, long message. Not mad. I just sent him a big one. At this point, I had time to calm down. And I was like, "Hey, like, there's no more winging it. We got to get your shit together. If you want help, I'll help you. But we can't keep doing this shit. This game we've been playing is not working. So either you're in or you're out. I'm not trying to be a dick here. I got to worry about the band and my name too." And I never heard anything. So the next day, I went up to my coworker and I said, "Hey, would your brother be interested in possibly playing with us?" And he goes, "Well, I'll talk to him tonight." So I didn't hear anything that night. I went and talked with him the next day. I said, "Hey, could I get his number? And I'll just call him."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Yeah." So I texted Jonah. I said, "I will buy you a drum kit, because I own all the stuff in my band, like all the equipment and everything."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I will buy you a drum kit you can tear up." Because I knew at that point, I'd hung out with his brother a little bit, because he was potentially going to be a guitarist for us. His brother's phenomenal fucking guitarist. Like, if there's a metal band out there that needs a guitarist, hit me up, because I know a guy. But I said, "Jonah, I will buy you a drum kit. So you don't have to tear up your really nice, really expensive drum kit, but you'll have to provide, like, cymbals.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you can tear mine up as bad as you want. I don't give a shit. Tell me what heads I need to buy and everything." And he was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." So he came over, and we're still a 3-piece, and we went through, I think we did Misbehaving first, and then we did Good Time, and then we did Win 'Em All. And each song, it seems like it got better. So Misbehaving's really high energy, but it's got some pauses in it, like a clap. There's no claps, but, like, that's kind of like the timing of it. And he got all those right. I would play a song on my phone, a recording of it, and he'd hear it, and we'd play it, and it was exceptional. Spencer freaked out over the first one. Freaked out over the first one. And so the second one, I hit him, we listened to Good Time, and he goes through, bro, both of them are perfect fucking takes, like album-worthy takes, and were just fantastic. I said, "All right, well, I'm going to mix it up with you. Now, we're going to do Win 'Em All." It's a slower song that has really low verses and really high energy chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it almost exactly perfect.
Wow.
I think there was like one part he only heard it one time and was like, "All right, let's do it." And after the third one, Spencer threw his bass down on the couch and he goes, "I don't give a fuck what Kota says. If you want to be in the band, and I will fight him over it." I'm in agreement. Dude, it was funny. Jonah is a fantastic drummer. He's fucking unbelievable.
Sounds like it, dude. That's crazy.
And he's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. Like, dude has jokes. As soon as he's really shy, but once you get to know him, he's got jokes for days. We have had some fucking really bad laughs. Really dark humor too. So, which I like dark humor. And after we got Jonah, we played. I think we had him for 4 practices, and we played 2 shows back to back. On like a Friday and Saturday night, and he killed it. And at that point, I was like, man, if he wants to stick around, that'd be sweet, because he's more into metal. I didn't think he'd like this stuff, but he likes hanging out enough with us, like off stage. He was like, I'll stick around, and he started liking the music. So he took the band to another level and gave it the rock tone we were really needing. Instead of kind of like Matt had kind of a pop rock kind of style. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
But we tempered Jonah down from metal to rock. And he's got a very diverse background too. He doesn't just do like Slipknot. He's got some background in like jazz and country too. A little blues.
Oh, wow.
So and he's only 21. Dude's solid. So we start trying to book some shows and doing some cool stuff. We did a couple of Battle of the Bands. We made our first trip down to Texas. That was fun in July. And then at the end of July, we played 10 shows, full band. It was our first time having a double-digit month. And we played our biggest, our best, and our worst show. And we started the month playing at 4th of July. There was like over 600, 800 people in attendance at this big park. It was my dad's hometown. So it was a lot of fun.
The Flyers.
We ended up getting rained out about halfway through, but still it was a lot of fun. And then we go down to Texas the next weekend, and we played lights out. Girls were dancing. We played in the stockyards. It was unbelievable.
Did you play at Filthy's?
You know how it is. And then at the end of the month, last show of the month, we played to one person all night long up in the middle of Missouri.
Was that at Filthy's or was it at Rhinestone?
Yeah, we had played at Filthy's.
Okay.
So at the end of July, I was just worn out from that whole month because we were traveling a lot and pretty far every weekend.
Yeah.
And the bar owner straight up was like, you need to find somebody else to sing. Like, you ain't got it. Well, and what he was going for was, he goes, these classic rock songs you're playing, you need somebody who can hit them high notes that wears like spandex like they did in the 70s and does like the Steven Tyler thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Okay. Well, all right.
Okay. Like, pay me, and then I'm going to leave as fast as possible. I don't care. But I'm not saying I didn't have a bad night. I just, you didn't advertise this at all.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for an advertisement, and I know it worked a little bit because the one guy who came said he seen my advertisement. And he said he knew every cover song we played, which is, we play a lot of like Geo and Reed kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Covers. So like the new, I call it kind of punk country, but punk country, red dirt rock,
shred dirt,
whatever. Yeah, shred dirt, whatever everybody's calling it. I don't know. It's just fucking the shit that's on the Oklahoma and Texas music scene that's more on the rock side.
That's what me and my good buddy Shiloh Powers were talking about. One time I was like, because he made the comment, like, he posted, I forgot where they were, now he's playing with Co and everything, but this is where he's still playing for Chance, I think, and he made the hashtag shred dirt, and I was like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, no, it fits perfect. I got a couple buddies that call it, what do they call it? Frat rock. Like,
yeah,
from college frat parties or something. But so we played this show and it went awful. But that guy knew every word to every one of the cover songs we played, every single one of them. There wasn't one of them he didn't miss. And he followed us immediately on Spotify and followed us on Facebook and checked out our stuff. And we bought him a drink. And it was kind of like the ZZ Top story where they opened up the curtain and they played to one dude all night. And at the end of the night, they bought him a Coke or something.
Right.
And they were just like, don't leave.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. So, and at the end of the night, the bar owner, he was an old man. He was talking with Spencer and was like, hey, your bass is pretty rough. You need some new parts for that, which I'm not going to. He was playing still on a $150 Squire bass that we got from a same pawn shop I bought my first guitar from. And he looked at me and he was like, hey, you need a new singer. He goes, you like playing guitar. You just need to find somebody who can sing your songs the way you want them sang. And I was like, I can sing my songs the way I want them sang.
Exactly.
I don't need somebody else to do that for me. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's fine.
Be like your bar has only one person in here.
Yeah, the guy, you're all fucking night loved this. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
So I was like, all right, whatever. Like, Spencer and Jonah were on their phones, like playing fucking Candy Crush or something. I don't know. Whenever this guy looks at me and says that, and they both stopped what they were doing and looked up at me, like, is Dakota about to go? Is Kota about to go across this bar and fuck this dude up? And I was like, okay, yeah.
Spencer's like, do you need help?
I was like, the only thing going through my head was, pay me now. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here and go on about my life. And
right.
I'm gonna make this fucking happen, and then one of these days I'm gonna be like, fuck that dude or whatever. So here's my fuck that dude.
Yeah.
But after that, I said, I've had enough of being the only guitarist in this band.
Mm-hmm.
And I poured probably about somewhere between $60 and $80 into Facebook advertisements in a couple different areas. Like, we're not far from Joplin, Missouri.
Yeah.
And poured advertisements into, hey, we're looking for a guitarist. And we found one, and we only had, I think, 2 shows in August. So while we were getting him introduced to the songs, I played those 2 shows. They were the last 2 shows I played as a 3-piece. And then he was with us for about 4 months, I think. September, October, November, December. And he was great. He was just young and still had a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But he got us by for a while. We played some good shows with him. Taught him a lot. He lost his virginity in our van. He's 20, I think, at the time. 19 or 20. I don't fucking remember.
That's a story right there.
And we were playing a local show. And it was a long story. Spencer hooked him up. Spencer's the best wingman I've ever met. Anybody out there that comes to parties with us sometime, if you need a wingman, hit Spencer up. He's a really good wingman.
They call him Hitch.
So we played with him for about 4 months, and last year, the last year of playing, if you told me a year ago we'd be where we're at now, I probably told you you're crazy and there's no way it can happen. Which it's not like we're fucking headlining the Apollo or something.
Billy Bob's.
Or poor Billy Bob's. We're not like a national act by any means, but end of December, I let that guitarist go that I had. And he was a good dude. It was just starting to become like not a great fit off stage.
Mm-hmm.
He was young. He had some learning to do. Good kid. And we brought in our new guy. So the lineup now is me on rhythm lead guitar and lead vocals, Spencer on bass and backing vocals, Jordan on lead guitar, and then Jonah on drums.
And are all your guys from Kansas, or?
All 4 of us are from Kansas. Oh, and Tank. I've gone this whole fucking show and haven't even mentioned Tank once. Tank is our little wiener dog that travels around with us. He's been to every single show. That dude could pull more girls than anybody you've ever met. He pulls more girls than Hugh Hefner. Our first show we had in Pittsburgh was in a little bitty place. It probably is meant to hold about 50, 60 people, and there was probably about 100 of them in there, mostly college kids, because it's a college town. And that dog got passed around like the offering plate at church. Everybody got a turn holding him. He's a little bitty Chiweenie. He's probably about 10 pounds. I mean, he's not heavy. He's cute as a button. Girls love him. Everywhere we go, they're like, "Can we pet him?" Yeah, you can. He's nice. That dog has no idea the life he lives.
He was there He was there in the
Every
van.
weekend we're going somewhere crazy, and he's getting all this attention.
He was there in that van that night.
Bro, you might have been. I think
he's got PTSD.
That dog has no idea the life he lives.
He's like, you don't know the things I've seen, the things I've done.
You know what I've done? Our friend Nancy at Tumbleweed, she's got a little dog, which I don't remember exactly what Macho is, but he's a little bit bigger than Tank, but his name's Macho. And so we got a picture of Macho and Tank together, and we're playing at Cat-Fry this year. And I told Nancy, I said, "Hey, we got to get, I think I'm going to see if I can get our GoPro charged up, and I'm going to attach it to Tank and see if we can get some videos of like Tank and Macho running around doing stuff."
That'd be awesome.
She's like, I think we got a GoPro too. I'll see if we can figure out how to get it on Macho, which Macho is a little further off the ground than Tank is, so they could probably drape it from his neck. But
yeah,
Spencer and I thought that'd be a great idea.
That'd be cool, especially when he's going through the crowd or something, or running down the stage,
Oh yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. But the tournament this year, we've had some pretty good shows. We played our first time in Tahlequah, which there's a really good music scene in Tahlequah.
Yes,
with our buddy Colton Crow. We played in the Stockyards again at Filthy's with our buddy Jake Marlin. I don't like to be the guy that name drops. I just want anybody who hears this to go check out my friends, because those are cool dudes that make good music. So
Jake's
who hears this, please go check out my friends. They're really good.
I think I'm having Jake on here in 2 weeks, if I remember right.
I love that man. The first time we played in the Stockyards was with Jake, and we actually bought our van off Jake. Old Large Marge. She's a 1994 one-ton van, Dodge Ram van, and we went down to the Stockyards. It's hotter than hell, and we're playing at Filthy's that night. Well, we played an acoustic 3 to 6 show next door to there at the Thirsty Armadillo, which is where I ran into Carly, which I didn't talk with her there, but I seen her come in, and then I seen her later on kind of walking around the Stockyard. She looked a little drunk at that point.
I was going to say, she said on here, she told us a story, and yeah, she said she was drunk. She said, I don't know if he knew this, but I was drunk off my ass that time.
She looked like it later on for sure, but her parents came in.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I don't remember if it was Bad Girls Club or Future Ex-Wife. I want to say it was Future Ex-Wife, which is, I can't remember if I sang the whole, I think I did the whole bit. So live full band, Future Ex-Wife is about an 8-minute song.
Shout out to Carly Nash, by the way.
Who? Oh, yeah, it's Carly Nash. Anybody on here, please go check out her shit.
She's got merch coming out, too.
Bro, her voice is so angelic. Like, I didn't talk with her while we were there in Fort Worth at that time. I think it was a couple days later. She had followed me on Instagram, I think it was. Yeah. And I was like, hey, she looks familiar. And so, stalked her page, obviously. She was just at the stockyard. So I followed her back, and then I think she was playing in OKC or something. I'd seen she was down there, and whenever we booked the Wichita Falls thing, it was late fall last year. So I was like, all right, after the first of the year, I'll see if I can find us an opener.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I got to get Carly on with us. Like, I have to. Her voice is fucking amazing. She's fucking awesome. I got to get her on a show. So I hit her up, and I was like, hey, is there any way you'd be willing to play with us and open for us in Wichita Falls? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So she jumped on it. I was really thankful for that because I wasn't sure if she would or not. And I wish there could have been more people at that show that night because she fucking knocked it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
She is fucking phenomenal.
She's such a great person too. Just like,
yeah, she is. And I was doing a lot of, I guess you could call, I don't know if it'd be called PR stuff, kind of talking business a little bit with the owners and some of the sound guys that night. So I didn't get as much of a chance to talk with her. I know Spencer did. He's kind of my guy who goes around and mingles a lot. If I'm talking with like owners, he is the most social dude I know. That's why he's a good wingman. But what little I get to hang out and talk with her, she's fucking phenomenal. And I am really, really picky. I'm nice to everybody, but I'm really fucking picky about who I want to be involved with, if that makes sense.
Right.
And the fact that she was willing to come open for us, I was really thankful because, like I said, her voice is fucking angelic. I love what she's got. Super nice person. Really good parents. I got to talk to them just a little bit. But, yeah, so at the Thirsty Armadillo, I did Future Ex-Wife, and I was like, I think Carly and her parents, we didn't have a big crowd. They were one of like a few people there.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, I'm just going to get the raunchiest song I have kind of out of the way. Cause I always do the extended cut live.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that really like it. So that's the only reason why I do it. Cause it lets me kind of out of my shell a little bit. But anyways, so Jake's brothers came down there to hang out with us, surprise the shit out of us. Shout out to Josh and Adam Marlin and Jake.
He smells like
Marlin brothers. I've told everybody since that day, if I make it famous, it'll be because of the Marlin brothers, because they gave us so much advice and help and have continued to give us advice. They made me like an honorary Marlin that day. We got drunk and had fun and laughed and joked and everything, and it was just an experience on my part. But they're just such good dudes. Like I can't say enough good about the Marlin boys. But beginning of this year we played with Colton Crow and then Jake Marlin, and those were great shows and just had a blast. I was really thankful to be a part of those. And then the next shows we did after that, we did some with our buddies at Stray Sons. Shout out to Stray Sons. They're killing it right now. I love them boys so much. And then we got our first chance. We played the Battle of the Bands at Tumbleweed. So we got to play in Stillwater for the first time. We had a lot of fun doing that and made a lot of connections there. And the next night, we got to open for like our first, I guess you could say, big artist. And that was an experience in seeing it really up close and like how these guys are doing it.
Right.
And like talking with the tour manager and just soaking up all the knowledge we could, talking with a couple of band members, soaking up all the knowledge we could about like, hey, well, like what's it look like out there? Stuff you gotta like prepare for.
Who'd y'all
what's it going to take to get there? It was was a really, really good weekend on our part, and we had a lot of fun doing that.
Who'd y'all open for?
It was John Wolf.
Oh, okay.
So, like, in our area, John Wolf, I would say, isn't, like, as prominent as, like, a Casey Donahue.
I didn't know he's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think he's from Miami, Oklahoma, which is literally, like, 40 minutes south. That was where our original drummer was from.
You pronounced that perfect, sir, by the way. So
I know, dude.
You passed the Oklahoma check.
Sidetrack, but yeah, they hate it when you call it Miami. It's Miami.
Yeah, that's like
Miami, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
northeast corner.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he's from there, and then he spent some time in Tulsa. But that was a really fun experience, and really important, and gave me kind of I don't know if you call it necessarily a look behind the curtain, but kind of a look behind the curtain is like how a lot of things operate.
It was
a really good show for us. One, to like add to our resume, but two, to learn. So after that show, we kind of had a talk and was like, hey, we should really start thinking about focusing on trying to get on opening shows.
Right.
Because that could lead to like more ticketed shows.
Well, and the thing is, like, hopefully. the guys that I talk to, like you're talking about talking to them and stuff, we were lucky enough here in Wichita Falls, we had a venue where we were fortunate enough to have like Shane Smith and the Saints came through, and
right.
I talked to the TM and all of them guys. Of course, Shane, I got to hang out with him. Super nice guys. All them guys in that band. It's awesome to see them have that much success because they're all genuine, good people. And actually, that night, I told the TM. Of course, he was, most TMs are slinging merch, and I had told him that I wanted to buy Geronimo. What is it? Is it Geronimo? What is that album? The one that looks like Indiana Jones.
I want to say it is.
I think so.
I'm having a hard time remembering.
I think so. But I told him.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, because they were paying me cash for working security, band security. And I told him, I was like, I'll come by and buy that. And he's like, okay. He said, I'll put one away. Dude, we got done, and I came by there, and he's like, oh, yeah, here you go. And I was like, I said, do I owe you anything? I said, what do I owe you? He said, oh, nothing. He said, you can have it. I was like, dude, are you serious? He's like, yeah. I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's
awesome.
I was like, that's awesome. But yeah.
I'm finally going to get a chance, I'm pretty sure, to see them guys live.
Oh, dude, they're badass.
We're on a festival later this year. I've been dying to see them, and I don't think they've been in my neck of the woods when I've been available.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody says they're amazing, and like I love their music, so I can only imagine what their live show's like. But I'm just really excited to get to witness that and see how they're doing it.
Well, something to look in for Spencer. Also, I see that, seeing him, looking sexy with those overalls on stage. Their fiddle player, he wears overalls and everything.
Yeah,
he has an overall deal. Like, he's got a deal with the overall company.
Does he? See, that's what we were actually talking about tonight, because I had seen yesterday, I think. Is it? It might be the Weathered Souls. I think one of their players wears coveralls too. And then there was somebody else. It might not be them. I can't remember. But it was somebody kind of like them. If it wasn't them, I'm pretty sure it was them. one of their players was wearing coveralls and he's shirtless, which if you're hearing this for the first time, Spencer wears camo overalls, coveralls, whatever they are. I always get them mixed up.
He looks sexy on that base, by the way.
That dude works it so hard. He literally, like, at this point, he's just working out, one, to be strong, and two, to look in them overall. I think it was the show we did in Lawton, and we got, I think, through Oklahoma City. We were early because we did set up the sound check that day at like 4:30. So we went through. I said I wanted to be there. I told the guys, I was like, I want to be there really early, just so if there's anything we need, we got plenty of time. We ain't got to rush. We can go get some food. We can run around the town. We can hang out before a show, whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing to do in that town.
We get probably about like 30 minutes past Oklahoma City. And Spencer just goes, "Oh, fuck," like really loud. I was like, "What, man?" Like, he woke me up from a nap. And I was like, "What, man? What's wrong?" And he goes, "I forgot my overalls."
Oh.
And I was just like, "Are you fucking serious?" I was like, those are literally almost as important as your base. He goes, "I don't know how I forgot them." I was like, "What the fuck are we going to do now?" Because that's honestly, so like,
right.
I told these guys at some point, I was like, you should come up with like your look, like something people can, because Spencer was really getting a lot of traction from, like, I'd hear from a lot of people locally because they see all the photos from shows and stuff. And be like, "Spencer wearing them damn overalls is just hilarious and awesome and da-da-da-da-da." And like, so it's something to help recognize them with, because, you know, everybody loves bass players.
Yeah, the bass players.
Listen to this. I love you guys.
Bass player is the number one person.
Yeah, I always love Spencer shit any chance I can, because he's the biggest shit talk right now. But I was like, "Bro, that's your look. We're gonna get a lot of photographs taken tonight, and you ain't wearing fucking overalls. What the shit?" So, I always got to remind him now before we leave. I'm like, "You got your overalls, right?" He's like, yeah, I do." But we were talking tonight. I was like, "You got to figure out something about, like, I don't know necessarily about like copywriting, but I was like, you got to work out something where you can get free overalls or something, dude." But
I wondered if, like, with social media now, if he hit them up, like, just a company, you know, and just be like, "Hey, I play bass in Kota, Lewis and the Flyers, and I'm wearing y'all's guys' overalls on stage all the time, and I'd love to represent the company, you know," and yeah.
I just thought about this, but there's the Key Company, the brand that makes like overalls and coveralls and stuff, jeans. There's a branch of them. I don't think it's all of them, but there's a branch of them just north of us, probably about 30 minutes in Port Scott. I might hit them up. I don't know how I thought of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, dude, that's perfect.
I don't know. I'm sitting here dumbfounded at how I haven't. Like, literally all the time I'm thinking about, man, how can we market that? We got to get sponsorships. I don't know how I haven't thought of that. So if this works out,
well, I'll try to I'll try to market y'all, get you on here. You know, I bet you there's only going to be probably one listener and be me, but you know, it'll if the name gets out there, then you know we'll see. But
dude, one real quick, I just really want to say thank you. Appreciate you reaching out to let me be on your podcast, man. That means a lot.
Oh, no problem, man.
You know, we're in a stage now that I think a lot of artists, especially a lot of artists that I'm friends with, we're wanting. I don't know exactly how to phrase this. We're wanting the respect of our like local friends,
right?
And that know us and see us as just the people we are instead of like the artists. Because I think those people are probably the hardest to win over because they know you as, oh, that's just Dakota. It's just Dakota. Like we're in a stage where we're trying to earn as much respect from our peers in the part of we can do this, we're trying to do this, we're working to do this,
right,
and being successful full-time musicians. And we all know the success rate and the likelihood and everything, but like I'm big on people. You should chase your dreams. Like, what do you got to lose?
Right.
I have a really, really, really bad relationship with time, and so I am not scared of dying, even a fraction. Not scared of dying.
Mm-hmm.
But I am scared of being forgotten. Like, the impact I want to have on the world, I want to have something like nobody will ever forget. It'll live on forever. That's kind of impact I want to have. So on a real level, I heard somebody say one time, and I think they were talking. I always go back to Merle Haggard because I think he either said this. I don't think he said this, but he might have said this. I don't know. Or he died right around the time when I heard this. But they say you die twice. Once when they put you in the ground, and then again for the final time when somebody stops saying your name.
Right. And I also think about, it goes back when we were kids, watching Sandlot. And there's that scene in Benny's bedroom where Babe Ruth comes to him in that dream and he says, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Yeah, and like I've always wanted to be the hero of my own story. I grew up watching like Dragon Ball Z and all these hero shows and everything, and I just wanted to like it's cool now to like the Joker instead of Batman.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's cool now to like. I'll just throw out a name out there. I'm not trying to start anything between anybody, but it's cooler now to like Keith Whitley more than George Strait.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of stuff. And no matter what, I can't, as much as I want to be part of the cool kids crowd, I just want to be the hero. I want to be the guy that, I want to be the guy. I want to put myself in. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, like winning. Like, I want to be the guy that everybody looks at.
Like sports.
Yeah, like sports. I mean, like, are we going to do this? Are we going to make it? Like, is this going to be okay? And I want all the pressure on me
to hit that game winner.
I know at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to quit. Like, I try not to flex my ego more than I have to. I try to keep that as in check as possible, because if you can do that, a lot of things work out better, especially in like the music world, if you can keep your ego in check.
Right.
But like when our back's against the wall on like getting certain shows or just trying to get to the next accomplishment, the next step up, a little baby step of being closer to being successful. Like I would do anything to get there the way I want to get there. I think in 2015, I went and tried out for, I think it was 2015, I went and tried out for The Voice. At that point, I really couldn't sing. I'm not the best singer. Songwriting's more my forte. I'm a good enough singer, I think. And I just started taking vocal lessons to kind of polish that up and really start developing that aspect or skill and aspect of my career. But in 2015, I go try out for The Voice. It was awful. I did terrible. The whole day was weird. I didn't really know what to expect. And Just not my thing. The next weekend, that was in Oklahoma City. The next weekend, I drove down to Tulsa, and like the downtown part, I think they had it at the ball field where the Drillers play for American Idol auditions.
Oh, wow.
And I had talked with a guy that I was in his like same group or whatever, made friends with at the week before at the voice audition. He had gotten like a golden, not a golden ticket, but a pass up to the front, basically, so he didn't have to wait in this long ass line because somebody he knew was like, "Hey, you should come." I'll do somebody working the thing. Basically, he had an inside.
Oh yeah.
Help getting there quicker. I don't think his audition went the way he wanted to, but anyway, so I go to this thing and I go stand in the line. And I start to fill this paperwork out, and I'd already driven down to Tulsa, and the only thing going through my mind is I guess there was a feud at some point in time between Miranda Lambert and Eric Church and Kenny Chesney. And it was like Eric Church and Kenny Chesney saying, basically they were, and I don't like hate on anybody who goes on these shows or anything. It's just that thought going through my head was they were in an argument saying, well, you're supposed to write songs and come up with your class or whatever they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And do it the typical way it used to be done or whatever. Like, I think these shows are great for giving people an opportunity to get in front of people. Like, I'm not all for them or all against them. I'm just saying they're a great tool. It's a great aspect.
Right.
But the only thing going through my fucking head is this argument. And it was like, I should not be here. I need to worry about songwriting, and I don't know if I need to move to Nashville or not. I just need to, there's a different way, and this is not the way for me. So that was 2015. It's 2019 before I played my first show. It was end of 2017 before I really started writing. But everything that's gotten us to this point, I feel has worked out for us instead of to us. But I'm really thankful for like our journey, the way it's gone. I feel like I've done everything the right way, and the right way for me, and I feel like the direction the band's going. Like I had talked with you earlier, I think before we started recording, about we had just gotten done with band practice tonight, and we had worked on 2 new songs. We just recorded another new one this last Sunday. I think we're going to try and push that one to radio, and then we got another one releasing May 26th. And the trajectory and the work we're putting in right now, I really have a good belief in it. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way necessarily to do the music business or to work. There is definitely wrong ways to do the music business. Let me clarify that. I just because there are some shady people out there, but I don't think there's a right way to do the music business because I don't think anybody knows, because you're taking a chance on if you're releasing music, you're bearing your soul to these people who could hate it or could love it. Mm-hmm. And, you could spend a few years working on these songs and then release it, and then everybody just be like, that's trash. You just don't know. Right. Which I hope there's nobody that feels that way about our stuff. But I came to the realization whenever it was getting real, like, hey, we're about to release music. I was like, there's going to be people who don't like us, and that's okay. It's the way it is. There's musicians and there's music that I don't care for and that I don't listen to. So I have to expect that from me if I'm gonna go out here and bare my soul and give you the experiences I've been through or the stories I want to tell or anything like that. If there's going to be give, there's got to be take, basically. So, I mean, you got to deal with that dichotomy. So I don't know if there's a right way to do the music business, but I feel like what we're doing now and the people we're talking to and working with and the things we're doing inside the band and the shows we're playing, I feel like we're doing exactly what we need to be doing right now, if that makes sense.
Right. Now, where can people go find your music at?
We're available on everything. I joke at every show. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can put us on your little videos. Hell, we're probably even on OnlyFans, Plenty of Fish, Christian Mingle, Farmers Only.
I was just about to say the hub.
I mean, yeah. You can find us everywhere, on every social platform. I think every social platform. It's either Kota Lewis or it's Kota Lewis and the Flyers. I don't think we're that hard to find because there's not necessarily a lot of people named Kota.
Then on social media, are y'all all on there?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I have a personal TikTok, and then I got the band TikTok, which the band TikTok is Kota Lewis and the Flyers. Facebook, it's just Kota Lewis. Twitter and Instagram are Kota__Lewis.
Now, where did you find that? I heard there's the rumor that you found your next bandmate, and they were working in a restaurant as a waiter. It was I saw it on TikTok. It was a waiter, and it looked like it had a smile on his face. It looked a little fake. Kind of like a robot.
Oh my god! Bro, that thing freaked me out. So we were coming home from Amarillo. Yeah, the first time we played at Amarillo, this is a funny story. So the first time we were coming home from Amarillo, I had woke up from partying way too hard the night before, and I told the boys, I said, "Hey, this is a 9-hour drive home. I don't care where we eat, but we got to get on the road."
Right.
And so the three of them all decide, all right, well, we'll just start driving because this is such a big town. We'll just start driving and we'll see something, we'll pull in and eat. I was like, okay, I don't give a shit. Like, I just need some food. I'm hungover as fuck. Let's just get on the fucking road. I don't give a shit. So we start driving, and these dipshits honestly should have just looked up someplace to eat, and we just went there. So we drive by like a McDonald's, and somebody's like, "No, I don't want to eat there." And we drive by, I don't know, like a fucking Applebee's, and somebody's like, "No, I don't want to eat there." Long John Silver's, I don't want to eat there. I don't think Amarillo has a Long John Silver's, but something like that.
Yeah.
And then finally, after about 2 miles of bickering, Spencer goes, "Cajun restaurant, let's go." Because Spencer loves Cajun. And Jonah has the appetite of a toddler. Chicken nuggets,
Yeah.
chicken strips, mac and cheese, cheeseburger. That's like it. That's his diet. Cheese pizza, fucking. Spencer and I eat about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And before I could say anything, because Jonah leans up and goes, "I don't want to eat Cajun," before I could say, "Hey, Jonah, I don't know if you know this or not, but Cajun restaurants have a menu for people with your kind of taste buds." Spencer gets madder than fuck and just goes, "Fine, fuck it, let's just go to Burger King." Like he was emotionally hurt about this Cajun food. Emotionally like, "Fine, fuck you guys, just fucking go to Burger King. I don't give a shit."
I almost said I heard cry.
I started to say it, but I realized the tone in his voice because he kept kind of rambling. I was wanting to be like, "Well, I don't want to go to Burger King," because I didn't give a shit, but I really did want to go to Burger King. So we pulled into like some chicken place. I don't remember what it was, like Church's Chicken or something. I'm just eating my chicken, and mac and cheese, and I think they give me a piece of bread. I was fat and happy, ready to go to sleep. I'm hungover. Let's get on the road. I don't give a shit. So the whole way home, Spencer's just grumbly and irritated and da 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 da. And the next day in our group chat on Snapchat, he blows the fuck up and he goes, "Next time I want to eat Cajun, we're fucking eating Cajun." And I was just like, dude, it's fucking Cajun. Chill the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm Cajun too, but I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. So Jonah and I were talking, and he goes, "Man, we would have known it was going to be this big of a deal, we could have stopped for some spicy shrimp somewhere. I don't give a shit."
Spicy
so the
shrimp.
next time we know we're coming out to Amarillo, that's all we can fucking talk about is making sure Spencer gets his fucking Cajun. So it's a 9-hour drive. We wake up at like 9 or something and start getting on the road. And Jonah and Jordan were like, there's a really good Cajun restaurant in Oklahoma City, and that's on the way. We could just eat there and go to that Cajun restaurant instead of waiting 2 hours and then eating here.
Was it Razoo's?
We'll do what?
Was it Razoo's?
No, I don't remember the name of this one. I could probably figure it out, but
it's probably Trappers.
I think that's it.
Yeah, Trappers is good, dude.
That sounds right. I don't remember exactly, but so we had to go to Cajun. So we go to Cajun. We go to this place, and it was different than any Cajun restaurant I've been to. Which I hadn't been to a lot of them, but a job I did in Louisiana, I went to a few of them while I was down there, and it's different than this one. Which you would think, if you're that close to the water versus if you're in the fucking Midwest.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different. You're literally in Oklahoma City. You're in the intersection of America. So
yeah.
So we eat, and we're all like, fat and happy and ready to get home. We've already been on the road about 4 hours. We got another about 4 or 5 getting home, and we're walking out, and this fucking robot's just delivering food. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like one of the guys was pointed out to me, so I was pulling out my fucking Snapchat and I started taking a video. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here? This ain't some AI shit. Fucking Skynet's coming, everybody."
Yeah.
But I'm freaking out. And I overhear Jonah. This is where I was saying he's got the best humor and it's dark humor. And he is the lady who greets you at the door. She had a really thick Asian accent, which I don't know why a lady of thick Asian accent descent. I don't know how to phrase this. Please don't kill me for not being PC or whatever, but
it's the city, so I would imagine that it's like,
I don't know why she's in a Cajun restaurant, but I was like, whatever, I don't care. Anyway, she was kind of hard to understand, but she was fine. She was really nice. And Jonah goes, "Don't worry about him. He's autistic." I'm like, what the fuck? Throwing me under a bus. I was like, "Oh well, I don't give a shit. This fucking robot's fantastic, and fucking can't even remember me, so I don't give a shit." But
it's like there's this guy that is one of my buddies. He comes to shows when he lives down in Denton. And if you saw the guy, you'd think he was Sid the Sloth, like from Ice Age, in a human form. Well, I started calling him the Make-A-Wish Kid because, like, he looks like it.
oh my god, dude!
And now and the thing is, he loves it. He calls himself that. Yeah. Oh man.
I think if you can get to a point where you're laughing at yourself, you're doing okay in life.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of art, like paintings,
Uh-huh.
and really raw music because it's flawed.
Yeah.
And you can find, like, life is flawed. It's not perfect, but I think that's why you can find a lot of beauty in, like, the sad times and the bad times, is because there's, like, without these parts of it, the rest of it would just seem almost meaningless. So like, if you can get to a point where you're just roasting yourself or you're making fun of yourself or embracing your shortcomings, you could say, I think it makes it a lot easier. Which, like, I'm a bigger guy, so and I wasn't always like this. I was always kind of a bigger kid, but a few years ago I lost a bunch of weight and then just gradually put it back on. Which I started working out again, but the guys always give me shit. Like, if they would have been in here, whatever I said, I'll eat just about anything, they'll be like, "Oh, we know," but like, I'm really a big fan of like comedians too, just because you can laugh, you can point and laugh at yourself, and
yes,
like it's an okay way of doing it, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
But there's a lot of beauty in this world, and I think there's a lot of good art, and I think there's a lot of bad art, and I think it's all art, and it should be respected. I get asked, I wouldn't say a lot, but frequently enough, "Hey, would you guys consider yourself like Red Dirt or country or rock? Like, what do you consider yourself?" And
Cowpunk.
Spencer kind of got me started on this, but we can't. It's hard for us to describe ourselves because I think it's just like, especially our live shows, because we have accents of metal, we have accents of like classic country, we have accents of like alternative rock.
Did you know there's a genre called cowpunk?
I heard you guys talking about this a couple weeks ago.
Cowpunk.
Cowpunk, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
I forgot to tell Spencer about that. Oh God, I gotta remember to tell Spencer. That would be. I call us. It's really hard to call us anything. It's kind of punk country, so cowpunk. I love that.
That's perfect.
Of
course, I guess we all be corn punk.
Corn punk. Wheat punk.
Oh yeah, wheat punk. I forgot Kansas is wheat.
Yeah, Nebraska's corn.
Yeah.
But like, I really don't like putting myself in a box. So Spencer and I just started. If anybody's like, "Well, what kind of music do you guys play?" We play good music.
Yeah.
We play party music. Like, we play fun music. I love telling heartbreak songs and singing those kind of songs and everything, but they're not the best for like our live shows.
Right.
Like, we got to bring them down and get like on eye level with your audience, for example, and get that heart to heart. You got to pull on them heartstrings a little bit. So we still do that.
And then speed it right back up.
But like, we try to bring a really high energy live show, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard to compete with us just because of Spencer and Jonah. Spencer dances around so much, and like, he's an unbelievable entertainer and really enjoys doing it. He loves having fun, loves being high energy. And then Jonah, just the way he drums, he's really high energy. And I'm not trying to sound like, well, Jordan and I aren't.
We're just sticks in the mud.
Bad entertainers, but like, I'm stuck behind a microphone.
Right.
And like, if you compare Jordan to Spencer, like, if you're watching that dynamic on stage, it's really hard to compete against Spencer. Just because he moves around so fucking much. Like, he's over here, then he's over there, then he's up there, then he's down here, and like, he just moves so much. So it's really hard to compete with that kind of energy when he just doesn't stop. I mean, like I said, he's deceptively athletic, and dude's got a motor on him. When we played. That was something I just kind of realized probably in the last couple months. We had played that show up in Manhattan with John Wolf, and we had some fans that I actually went to high school with, and one of them had came to my very first show, which I told you at the beginning of this, it was awful.
Right.
It was fucking awful. And she was just like totally starstruck. I don't know if that's the word I would say. Totally in unbelief at the difference between that first show and where we were there. And then her sister was like, "You guys are just fucking crazy on stage. Like, you're so high energy." And I'm not saying like we're more high energy than like anybody else out there. I'm just saying, like, thanks to Jonah and thanks to Spencer, we have a really high energy show.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to do the sad country style songs. So we play mostly upbeat, high energy. Like a couple of our covers are like Rooster Tattoo. That one's, I mean, it's kind of a, fuck you or whatever, obviously.
So, crazy story about that song. So, I had booked, which Gio and them's always been good friends of ours. I had booked a show at Lawton at Scooters when it was open, and my headliner, that I was going to get a headline, we had some stuff happen and backed out. Well, no, he didn't back out. I took him off there. So I called Gio up because I was like, if I tell him who it is, he's going to do it. Well, I called Gio up and he was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And I never met the guy or nothing. Like, I literally just got his number off Facebook, called him up, everything. Well, they sound checked with that song, and it had not released yet. It released the next 2 weeks is when that released. So yeah, that was crazy. And then um seeing them guys from playing that little show, I think they played for like $1,000. Um, and then seeing them on the freaking iHeart Radio Music Awards on freaking primetime TV.
That's crazy.
I was like, I told my wife because we were watching it, and I told her it brought me to tears because I'm like, I booked these.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like I booked these guys. It was their second show ever in Oklahoma, and
really?
yeah, and it's just it's crazy. Just it blew me away.
Seeing where they're at now from there, man, I can only imagine.
Oh man,
like
it's crazy.
I just look at it like from like where we started to where we're at now is crazy. I can only imagine you seeing like in the scale where they're at now. You seeing where they were right before Rooster Tattoo.
Yeah,
that was a big song for them, but they already had, in my opinion, they had a bunch of bangers at that point.
I think
but, like,
changed.
A really big banger that kind of, I think, from my perspective, anyways, it was a big banger that really kind of set them on their trajectory they're on now. But like, dude, you got to see them.
They sound checked with the Rooster Tattoo. Like,
and then now they're on.
And now they're
new alternative rock band of the year. That's the fucking dream, dude. It's fucking cool to see that shit happen.
Well, that's like Shiloh with Co. Here I've seen Shiloh play with like all these guys, and yeah, like play. I mean, like be maybe like at least 500 people, maybe 250. And now I go, like I'm going in June and going to Dickies, which I went last year, and I got to see two of my buddies. My other buddy, Brock Wilson, playing with Dylan Wheeler. And see, he used to, I met him when they played on a trailer in Lawton with Holly Beth. He played with her. And to see him now, dude, it's just it blows my mind. I'm just like, it almost brings you to tears. It's crazy,
dude. It's freaking crazy. I can really only imagine.
Dude, it's
like some of the stuff you've seen, because like you're from, what'd you say, Faxon, but you kind of in between like OKC and about Wichita Falls most of your life, haven't you?
Yeah, so Faxon's about an hour from Wichita Falls, and it's about an hour and a half from the city.
So, I mean, you've been down there in the muck and the mud of this music scene for a long time.
When it was nothing.
I just got my fucking foot in the water like a month, not literally a month ago, but that's kind of what it feels like.
Right.
Because I've only been playing with the band and trying to get down into that scene we're coming up on our second birthday. I think it's next week. I got to look at the calendar, but you know, with our shows, like our cover songs are like Rooster Tattoo. We do like Gun Shy. We do a really amped up, I wouldn't say metal, but we have metal aspects of that song. Rock version of Ringling Road.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of another one. There's been a lot of people try to couple us in with Co.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know that we're like Co. There's aspects of that. So, and I love Co Wetzel. Love his writing. Love his singing.
Yes.
Everything. But to divvy away from that and kind of separate ourselves from that, we do Good Die Young, not all the time, but sometimes. But that's just because like the lyrics and the meaning behind that song. You know, I've lost a lot of friends way too early.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that one kind of strikes a chord. It's pretty simple for us to learn as a band. So we do that one, but to separate ourselves from there, we try to avoid that. Like I said, we're an original band that plays some cover songs.
Right.
We've worked on a couple new ones tonight. We're probably going to add to the set list within the next couple weeks. We're really excited about those. We've already been playing the one that's getting released in May, and we've been playing the one we just recorded since like last July. I wrote it in July, and immediately we threw it in just because it's a perfect closer song. Whenever we get the mix and master back and we decide on a release date, as soon as it drops, I'm going to call every bar that I can think of or find on a map between,
especially that Missouri
and Mexico, and say, hey, you've been looking for a new song to send people home at night. Like, I know you have, because all the bar owners I talk to are sick of hearing Closing Time by the Semisonics, or however you say their name. They're sick of Turn Out the Lights, Party's Over.
Mm-hmm.
They're sick of Take My Drunk Ass Home. Like, they ran their course, whatever. Here's a new song to send people home to. And I'm going to be like, hey, if you like it, let me know. And if you don't like it, let me know.
Right, exactly.
We had a bar treat us pretty poorly, and on the way home, Jonah had said something. He said something as we were leaving, and then on the way home, he said, "Man, you gotta write something about this. This is fucking bullshit. Like we really shouldn't have been treated this way tonight. But you're gonna run in. Not every venue is gonna be, perfect.
Right.
But we had some people kind of not treat us like they were supposed to or said they would. And it's just part of life. But so I wrote a song kind of based off that, and it's been our closing song ever since, because it's just like, all right, go home. But it's one we're really looking forward to. A lot of people really groove to it and dance to it at the end of the night. We're probably going to put a radio promoter on it. I haven't used a radio promoter yet just because I'm broke, but we're going to get there eventually. But I'm really excited about the music we got coming out. I'm excited about the music we're in the process of writing. and polishing up right now. So I'm thinking it's going to be a good year for us. It's been a really good year so far. I'm really, really, really excited about the people that we've got lined up to work with. Because I've had a lot of people. I necessarily wouldn't say on my radar, but like on the map that I was like, oh, I'll never get to meet them, or I'll never get to work with them, or I'll never talk with them. They're too famous or whatever. Because in my eyes, I was just like, musicians aren't real people. They're just they show up at these bars and venues and play my favorite songs, and then they leave and they go back to wherever musicians come from. Like,
yeah, musician land.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Like I don't get starstruck, but
it's cool when you meet somebody like that. Like you meet somebody.
Yeah, no, it's weird to me to like, I don't know that you're a real person and you know who I am. Like and not like in a famous way. I've been listening to you for a while and following you for a while, and I never thought you'd ever know I exist. So
yeah,
it's like the Cody Johnson concert I talked about earlier. John Wolf was one of the openers, and I mentioned to him whenever I got an opportunity to talk to him whenever we opened for him. I was like, man, I've been listening to you for a while, like well over a decade of listening to your music, and I can remember being on our little small farm, hooking up a tractor, and
boots on the dance floor, like, birds on a wire.
Dude, I love John Wolf. My finance manager at work is a big John Wolf fan. He didn't realize I was opening for him, so I told him the show went great this weekend or whatever. He's like, who'd you play for or play with? And I told him, and he's like, nuh-uh. And I was like, yeah. Like, maybe you should pay attention to who I'm playing with more often. But
yeah,
I was joking with him about that. But like, it was a weird thing for me to see my name on the same flyer as John Wolf.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, are you allowed to do this thing? Are you capable of doing this thing? Can you do this thing? Can you do it well? So, I don't know, it was crazy to me. Like, you were talking about Dylan Wheeler opening up for Holly Beth. Like, I hope we get to, like...
Oh, no, good.
Bro, I love Holly Beth. Like, her fucking music is, oh my God. Like, I hope to play with a show with her at some point, if not this year, within the next couple of years, because, like, I've just been a fan of hers for a while. And
actually, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to tell you.
You're good.
So, my brother, Zach, went to this energy camp deal back in, I think he was in 8th grade. And that's where he met Holly Beth at. So fast forward, so there used to be this thing in Lawton called Eats and Beats, where they get like a bunch of food trucks around the Coliseum, and they have these bands play. Well, at the time, I was going with this band, just being a roadie and stuff, just going. And that's who opened for them was Holly Beth. So, um, there's a guitar player there named Brock Wilson. And Brock he's a badass. Shout out to Brock Wilson, by the way. But now, what I was saying was, he plays with Dylan Wheeler now. And I saw Dylan Wheeler open up for last year at Dickies. So that's what I was saying about Holly Beth and Dylan Wheeler. I was just telling you.
But still, like, I'm hoping I'm hoping we can get on some shows with like Matt Williams. Like,
oh man,
dude, that song he's got, You Never Gave a Fuck About Me.
Yeah.
Fuck, bro.
Well, I didn't.
I love that song so fucking much. But like his style.
When he told me that he played for Jelly Roll, played guitar, I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I play guitar for Jelly Roll.
That's fucking crazy.
I was like, you're kidding.
But like getting.
Shout out to Matt Williams, by the way.
And getting to meet with these people is just, it's cool. Like, I didn't think, like, I don't know if I'm cool yet, but I feel like if I hang out around these people enough, I might make it there to cool someday. But it's yeah, I tell you what, as much as I joke, like on Facebook about starting a band is really stressful or da-da-da-da-da, it has its moments where it's really stressful. And there's sometimes where I'm just like, fuck this shit, I'm done. But I tell you what, I met a lot of cool people. I made a lot of good friends. And I don't know where I would be at this point in my life without music as a whole.
That's what I got to say. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say, like, dude, like this project I got, like, I'd never thought about doing this, and yeah, I mean, we've been really blessed, you know. I look back at the old episodes when I was fortunate to have like Colby Cooper and the Powell brothers and like people like that, and they sound like shit. Like they sound so horrible. And it's just like, here I was, I just started out, dude, all I had was a phone and headphones with the mic. That's it.
Right.
And
yeah.
I was fortunate enough, great guys, great friends of mine. You were talking about Cody Hibbard. Those guys have been and still are great friends of mine. I was fortunate enough for them to be the first band that I had on here. And it's just, it's crazy, you know. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, you know. So I understand where you're coming from, and yeah, I mean, I mean, you meet a lot of people in music, and some of them, you know, when you do meet them big guys, you're like, oh man, It's funny because you're like when I met Cody Canada. I mean, big Ragweed fan, you know, or Mike McClure from The Great Divide, you know.
Right.
Just hanging out with them guys, like I smoked a cigarette with Cody Canada, and I'm just like,
bro, that's so crazy. Like,
and
bro, it's so cool.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about what I did with Mike, but yeah, me and Mike, and then Mike's a really good friend, and Ben DeBoo Hatch, and that was the craziest thing. I'm sitting there at this studio drinking a beer, and I'm sitting on this couch, and I'm just looking, and I'm like, holy shit, Turnpike recorded their first album here. Ragweed recorded here. Like, all these people, and I'm just blown away, you know?
Dude, it's just, that's how I felt like the first time I got on the stage at Blue Light for Songwriters Night. I was stickers all over the stage, all those stickers around the whole place. They were all on the wall, the green room, everything. And then to go up on the stage and be like, so many careers have came through
and started
this one spot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's like the Opry by any means, but like I was on the same stage as you name it. It's just fucking mind blowing to me. Like that. A kid that was was so wound up. Like, I got ADHD really bad.
Me too.
And
you can't tell.
I was in trouble all the time. Do what?
I said, me too, if you can't tell.
Bro, I feel it so bad. But, like, I was in trouble all the time. I was loud. I was obnoxious.
Yep.
I'm sure my teachers hated me.
You're preaching to the choir.
I just, somebody who is, like, pick glass for all that stuff is from a town of like 40 people.
Yeah.
Is doing the kind of stuff that people now that are on like a national stage have done, or, you know, people that are going to be on a national stage very soon. Like, you're doing the same things they did, playing the same stages they did, working with a lot of the same people and meeting a lot of the same people that they did. Like, the fact that this is possible is just, it's mind-blowing to me. And like, I've worked my guys pretty hard. I'm not going to say we haven't worked to get where we are. It's just, I don't think I thought it where we've gotten now to the level we've gotten at now. I didn't think it would come at the rate it's came. Like I was saying earlier, I have a really bad relationship with time, and it moves so fast. Like, I remember my first day of my freshman year, I didn't know what the 9 was on my little ID badge. I was like, that's not my age. Like,
right.
why is it? And they're like, that's your grade, dipshit. And I was like, I can remember having that conversation. I can remember a lot of the dumb shit I did in high school, in and out of school. I will say I've forgotten a lot more good times than most people have with as much dumb shit as I've done. But it's crazy to me how fast time moves, and it's terrifying. And I'm not scared to die by any means. I've come to grips with, hey, you're not getting out of this life alive. It's just, I want to accomplish a lot of things between now and then, basically. Right. And I want what I accomplish to mean a lot to a lot of people. And, like, I'm one who, God, I try to be one who doesn't care what people think. Like, I'm going to do me either way. But it's even more challenging to be like that when you're in a position of like a musician where your job is literally like, you're not begging, but you're like, I think if any artist is kind of real with himself, you're like me, please like my stuff. I like the work I'm in. And I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of thinking that, like, you want to be liked and loved. You don't want to be disliked, but and I'm not saying everybody's out here like begging for it by any means. You're essentially, you know, you're somebody who's begging for attention in a not begging way or whatever, you know. I think I've heard some comedians kind of talk on this, like, you're looking for approval from a lot of people you don't know, and you don't know why you need their approval. And I would still make music if I wasn't in a band, or recording songs. Like, just music is part of who I am at this point, and it has been since I first popped that CD player open and slipped that George Strait song on. But from Full Hearted Memory to now, with us getting ready to drop our song Runaway, and we just recorded our song Country as Fuck, like, it's been a crazy musical journey, and I'm really, really, really just amped up and excited to see how far we can really push this thing.
Dude, I'm excited to see how.
There's a lot of good people we've met along this way. Like, getting to do this podcast with you, which I think, unless you edit the shit out of this, it could be your longest episode. But
it might be.
It's long, but I hate to talk this long. I'm just really long-winded.
So. Hey, you're good. Hey, I told you tell the whole damn story, and you told the whole damn story. You're perfect, brother.
if my band listens to this, they're gonna tell me and tell you if they message you. You could edit out all the uhs and ums, and you could probably shave an hour off this. The first time I did a TV interview, I ummed the fuck out of it.
I was gonna say y'all were on TV, weren't y'all?
No, well, yes and no. So the day we dropped our album last year, I did a TV interview that morning. I did something else. I think I got with a newspaper, and then that sounds right. I did a newspaper interview at like 10 in the morning, I think, but I had to get up at like 5 a.m. to be at the news station, and I think I talked about the album and playing and touring and everything, and then they had me do one song, and I think it was "I Can Break Your Heart," because we had pushed that one to some radio stations, and I was like, "Hey, here's the first radio single," or whatever. But
oh yeah,
I ummed the fuck out of it. I could have edited so much out of it, but I could talk all night. Like, I love talking.
You need to do your own podcast.
But
I was gonna say you're a car salesman, so I know from a one salesman to another. I know exactly how that goes.
Exactly. Like,
that's why I'm so good at this. I think.
Man, I think Ed Milet's the one that says facts tell, stories sell. So
yeah,
I got stories for days. It's been such a fun journey getting to do like stuff like this podcast. If anybody's made it this far in the episode, thanks for hanging around. I know you're waiting for some magical info or something, but I think we've dropped all the info. But
yeah,
like it's cool to me. Like, I feel like I'm almost part of the club. I don't know if there's a club.
The club.
I feel like if there's a club, I feel like I'm in it when I get to do stuff like this podcast, or go play certain shows, or get to play, honestly, any shows. Like, I get to be part of this musician club. Like, hey, I'm playing over here. Hey, we're playing over here. It's weird when people reach out and they're like, hey, who's your contact at like this place, or how do you go about booking this place? And I'm just like, oh, it's just Facebook or message their Instagram, or just email them. They're really cool people or whatever. Mm-hmm. Getting to meet some of the venue owners. Some of them are great. Some of them are not so great. Getting to work with other artists is probably my favorite thing. Like my buddy Colton Crow, I've done a couple acoustic things with him. We played a show with him, full band, like doing that kind of shit. Jake Marlin.
They're both Kansas boys.
Yeah. Getting like Carly on with us, opening for a show. Like, that kind of stuff is it's fun for me because I love getting to see other people's art, see them perform. The first time we played with Colton was in Baxter Springs, which I'm pretty sure is his hometown. And it was our last show as a 3-piece. We opened up for his band, and I'm just like the whole night, I'm like, dude, I can't wait to see you guys play. Like, I'm just so excited. Like, and Spencer was like, geez, dude, get off his fucking dick. Like, what the fuck? And I was like, Spencer, you don't understand. Like, I'm so passionate about not only music, but seeing my friends do music and do it well. Like, I've been dying to see this motherfucker play forever, it seems like. I watched Colton open up for Cody West, I think it was at the end of 2020, acoustically. I think that was before he moved to Tahlequah, or right after he moved to Tahlequah, something like that. It could have been before that, but maybe it was the end of 2019, but something like that. And getting to see my friends and getting to see them do what they love as much as, like, I know they love this, or they wouldn't go through all the bullshit we go through as artists. They love it as much as I do. Like, that's a big thing for me. I'm not saying I'm every band out there's biggest fan, but like my friends, I'm their biggest fan. next to their immediate family because I want to see them succeed. Because it's the saying, I think, out of Nashville is you go up with your class. And I'm not saying their success will be my success.
Right.
But I want to see them successful because I genuinely care that their dreams come true too.
Right, because I like to think it's not a genre, dude. This is not a genre, okay? This is not a community. This is a freaking family.
I agree 100%. And
whether you're from Kansas, you're from Texas, you're from Oklahoma, or I met a guy that lives in North Carolina and South Carolina, two guys, and they play this kind of music. And yes, they're part of this family. I mean, for real.
Like, do you know who Craig Vaughn is, the DJ for the Armadillo out of Amarillo?
I think I've heard of him.
Craig is a cool dude. I got to do one radio interview with him. He doesn't play like our style of music, but he does. I think they became and transitioned over to like a full-on Americana station.
So that's awesome.
We're definitely not Americana, but he plays people from all over. I'm trying to remember where some of these guys were from. Some of these guys are from like Connecticut or Pennsylvania or something. And then, you got like the Kentucky sound, like that folk stuff, bluegrass stuff that's coming out of Kentucky right now. There's a bunch of guys from there that are getting played in Amarillo, Texas. Craig just kind of came to a point where, why if this guy has good music that sounds like what we sound like, would I not play him just because he's from Kentucky or Pennsylvania and he's not from Texas? Like, that just, to him, it was just like, hey, we need to make a production pivot and change up what we're doing. So I mean, he plays stuff from all over, and it's awesome. I listen to their station. I probably turn it on for at least a couple hours, at least once a week. I got a bunch of apps I listen to, like the Red Dirt Rebel out of Lubbock, the Armadillo. The big one for me is like 35 South, which is Colby Erickson out of Wichita, which it plays on like 6 or 7 different stations.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first guy that gave us a chance on radio at all. Colton and I did a acoustic thing at a benefit when the tornado went through Andale, Kansas, and we did a benefit in Augusta, Kansas, which is literally like 10 miles away, if that. We did a big benefit, and Colby came up and talked with Colton and I and was like, hey, you guys, like, I like you guys. You sound cool, seem cool, whatever. Here's my contact information. If you got some music or anything, send it to me. I'll take a look at it, and I'll see if we can't, throw it on the radio. So it was really awesome getting that in, and he was the first person to give us a chance on radio. And like when we drop these next songs, I don't know if Runaway will be able to get on there, just because we're kind of transitioning our sound a little bit and getting, I don't know if heavier is the word, but like, have you heard Hardy's new album?
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying we're going screamo, but it's a little heavier. So we're gonna have some songs that are a little heavier, but on our next album, we're probably gonna have 3 to 4 actual singles from everything, kind of what me and the guys are kind of working out and talking over. And then, like, I'm wanting to write like a lot of ballads, or I got one song I'm gonna pitch to a few of my buddies and see if they want to record it, because it's not the sound the sound I have in my head for that song is not the sound my band can make, if that makes sense. So artistically, what we're going to do with that song is take it a totally different direction. And I'm going to try and, I don't know if I would say I'm going to November rain it, but I'm going to try and make it like Our Dream On or Our Home Sweet Home or Our November Rain. Like, it's going to be like an 8-9 minute song.
Free bird.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted a song like that was that long, but it's going to be like the Texas version of, something like that.
Yeah.
Because it was a song a buddy of mine from Texas, he put an APB out on Twitter saying, hey, I want somebody to write me a song. And this was like middle of 2018, right after I first went over the road and really working on my songwriting. And he's like, I need somebody to write me a song. So I said, all right, what kind of song do you want? And he hit me back up and was like, give me the saddest shit you can think of. So I wrote just a heart wrencher. And like I said, I don't know if it's good or not. I think it's good, which is good enough for me to fuck with it. But I got a few buddies that I think could do it. I don't know if better is the word, but I think their band could succeed with it better than my band could succeed with it live. And I don't think our version that I'm going to record is going to be one that we would do live. It might be at some point, but when we recorded everything in the studio for the first album, I told Zach, I said, anything we do in here, I have to be able to do a live show. So it's got to be really close and similar, or something I can make happen, or I'm not doing it. And he's like, all right, we can do that. But I think on this next album, we're just going to focus more on, hey, let's just make cool songs and we'll figure out the rest later. Because, like I said, I don't like being tied to a box, like a certain genre or anything like that. Because, I mean, our live shows have so many aspects. I mean, like I said, we got metal accents, we got rap, we got classic country accents, contemporary, we got alternative rock. I mean, there's just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a live show. I think just about everybody, there's a part in there for everybody, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing.
Right.
And I think with this next album, what we're wanting to do is, we're just wanting to make cool music, good music, as artistically as possible, instead of worrying as much about live shows. Because some of these songs, they don't have the energy aspect like I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're slower, they're more really deep cuts. And I think if anybody was like, well, why would you record something you couldn't play live? I don't see Co playing One and Only or whatever that song is.
Right.
Like they're not playing all them songs like that, because their shows are high energy. They're playing their high energy stuff, which they have more of a catalog to choose from, especially now after 4 or 5 albums, 6 albums, whatever he's on.
They're even bringing out like songs to dance, songs I can drink to from the very first EP.
Yeah, so I mean,
really awesome.
They're bringing a lot of a catalog to live shows, and they can literally just pick all their high energy stuff. So if I wrote a couple slower ballads that really aren't for they aren't for live shows, that's okay with me, because I wrote these songs for me to deal with what I needed to deal with at the time I wrote them, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, Dakota, I hate to cut you off, man, but it's been
You're good. I didn't realize it was late.
It's been a good old time, man. Yeah, you might have set the record for the longest episode, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this has been.
Well, if you want to cut it in half and make it a part 1 and part 2, I don't have a problem with that.
But no, I mean it is what it is, you know.
Man, I really appreciate you having me on here. I hope we can do it again sometime. Maybe next time we can Dallas Cowboys or something.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And I have to come catch y'all on the road sometime, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get back down there in the Falls area.
Let's face
I'm probably
it.
I think we were trying for sometime in July, but I'll let you know.
Is the damage.
All right, sounds good,
That's
man.
why I personally recommend Elite Roofing and Restoration.
Keep on at it, and they'll I can't wait to hear those new songs.
They also offer many different services.
No problem, dude.
I'll keep you updated.
Including HVAC, electrical, garage door repair, and so much more. So why don't you give them a call for a free estimate at 405-443-7979 or send them an email at eliteroofingYukon@gmail.com. They'll work with you. And at Elite Roofing, their motto is honesty, integrity, and transparency.
Well, folks, I think that's going to do it for this episode of It's Crow Time. I want to thank Mr. Kota Lewis for coming on today. Man, what an interview. You know, sorry if it's a little lengthy, but you know what? We ain't on no time limit, like I said before. We're just on good times. And that's where you get to hear the whole story and nothing but the whole story. But with that being said, we want to make sure that you go check those guys out on all streaming platforms. Kota Lewis or Kota Lewis and the Flyers. Go give them a like and a follow on all social medias. And as always, we want to thank y'all for tuning in each and every week to hear me jumble on with these artists. And make sure you give us a like and a follow and a subscription, I guess, on all streaming platforms. And go give us a like on Facebook and a follow on Instagram so that you'll be in the know of all breaking Crow Time news. But with that being said, we want to thank our sponsors as well. We got a new one this week, Your Stitch Fix, out of Walters. So thank y'all for coming on. We also have What's Up 940, Elite Roofing and Restoration out of Yukon, as always. Great guys, great buddies of mine. Lazenby Landscaping out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. And also, as always, Spur One Management. With that being said, until we meet again, folks, we'll see you once again right here on It's Crow Time. Good night, everybody.